Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Brian Engelman, and it is Tuesday, October 15, 2024. Real quick bookkeeping. If you're not following the Unhappy Hour on X and YouTube and the Facebook groups, especially, you're missing out. It's an interesting time to be a sports fan, especially with Cleveland roots. The Tribe are one of the Final Four contenders in Major League Baseball. Lost game one to the damned Yankees yesterday. However, let me switch that. There we go. However, it's a 7-game series. We have a chance. We're hoping that we are able to bounce back into it. Of course, I also cover the Cleveland Browns, and they just traded star wide receiver Amari Cooper. It might be a fire sale in Cleveland for that. So just kind of join us on the other side for the sports stuff. Today, we're going to go through the news. We're going to tell you what's happening, what people are talking about. And we ask you to leave comments. Please leave them on the side of the program. However you're watching, hit the heart button, hit the subscribe button for the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show in all of the places. So also today, we are going to, let me switch folders. The Agree to Disagree show. There we go. Coming up soon, we're going to have Grizzly reporting from North Carolina. We went down there. We'll tell you about that. He kind of gave us a guided tour of some of the relief missions happening. It's still a crisis down there in Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, like that whole region around Chimney Rock. It's just a mess. So we're going to get into that and the rest of the stuff in the news on today's program. Blake Walley is out on assignment today, but he is putting together a finalized version, a draft of that project, showing you where we went, what we saw, and what people are talking about down there. So without further ado, let's jump into today's program. And yes, I did tell Blake I do need a different version of that intro where it's just me, because some days Blake is on assignment doing things. Oh, good. Look at this. Look who we have here. Perfect timing. We got Grizzly in the house. Grizzly, welcome, sir. How are you?
Hey, are we on? Yeah, we're live.
We are on.
Cool, man. How's it going, brother? You make it back?
It's going. What'd you say?
I said, I guess you had a good trip home. Everybody's safe and good. And
yeah. I mean, it's just it was a long week. It was a long week. There was the travel, the driving, and then there was a funeral event, and it was just a long week, but it's been a long week for everybody in your neck of the woods. We had you on as a guest a week ago, whatever it was, week and a half ago now, probably 2 Thursdays ago, and kind of explaining what things were like there in North Carolina. So we came down to see it, and Blake is editing away. He's out on assignment today, but he is editing down the package so that we can share it with everybody, of course. But maybe just from the top real quick, if you could reintroduce yourself to the people, say hello, what's going on, where you're from, what's happening, what's the latest, and kind of walk us through what's going on.
Yeah. My name's, everybody calls me Grizzly. I'm the owner of Grizzly Tattoo in Gate City, Virginia. That's where I'm from, born and raised. Basically I connected with Brian and Blake. I guess it's been 2 weeks now ago through a mutual friend, trying to just make some connections and get some more awareness out on, just to talk about what's going on down here. And it's been a roller coaster the past couple of weeks. Been some of the craziest 2 weeks of my life. But yeah, I continue to just try to push forward, trying to get back into somewhat of a normal schedule and trying to keep up with my life here and continue to keep up with what's going on and help people and make connections where I can. And, life keeps going, even so we just got to keep on chugging.
Yeah, life just does keep going. There's no way around it. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter the destruction, the calamity, the sports distractions. I'm in the middle of that right now. But I say I do a sports themed show so that I could get away from the serious stuff from time to time. But my sports fandom is so frustrating. I go back to politics and current events to get away from my frustrated emotions with my favorite sports teams. But it really is bread and circus at the end of the day. But yeah, the world keeps spinning. The world keeps spinning. What can you just do a recap for what we were able to come down and do? Obviously, we're wrapping up the project, finishing some edits. So we'll put that out real soon for everybody to share. But just kind of tell people real quick what you were doing as just a concerned neighbor who was very familiar with the area and friends and family around there. It's places you've spent time. Just tell us like what you started doing, and then what we specifically did during our excursion.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, after the hurricane hit, even places that didn't get flooded out, there was just a huge area with over several states of just no power, no water, anything for people. And it's kind of the situation I was in when I first connected with you guys. Just know all the cell towers weren't working. It was just like most of the stores were blacked out, and it was looking kind of bleak. They were talking about all these supply line strikes, and the local grocery stores are emptying out, and it's definitely a bit of a time of panic. Things could have got worse than they did, so I'm like super thankful that some of that got the hold. They kind of put a hold on that at least temporarily, and things here started to get straightened out. But there were just an ungodly amount of people displaced and that have been affected by this hurricane and these floods. And really, the narrative just was either not getting out to the extent that was honest, really, about like the situation, how bad it was, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions, or the narrative was just, it's been very confusing. Very political when we're talking about just people and their lives and their livelihoods, and we're talking about American citizens, regardless of who you're voting for. But basically, this whole situation has been turned into like, instead of focusing on helping people and how serious the situation is, it got turned into just politics. And I'm trying to bring a more honest voice and trying to just bring some help to people. So we started taking in donations to the tattoo shop, and we got connected with you and some different churches. And we ended up putting on like a community cookout here for free, and just invited like the whole town. Anybody could eat. We fed a bunch of the linemen and local police, and just ask anybody here to bring whatever they could to donate. We ended up getting like a whole cattle trailer about full of stuff between everybody, and took it down and just met with some real people in these towns that have been affected. And, it was awesome. I felt really good about it. It was feeling like really hopeless. So it was cool to just have everybody come together and actually do something productive. And now it's been like a week after that, and I've been back again. I haven't talked to you about that yet, and kind of my feelings now. And some of the situations I went to, Spruce Pine, Hot Springs. I tried to get into Marshall, and I went back to Newland just like the day before yesterday, I think. And the vibe has changed a lot. Now I'm sure people can take clips of our conversations that we've had, and they're going to apply different context now that things have happened to what I said. This has been a roller coaster. Everything's evolving. People are trying to, the biggest thing is just no communication in between civilians, and just no organization. Everybody's just kind of left to fend for themselves. But a lot of that's changing now. So yeah, basically you guys came down, we went to Weaverville and Newland, and just kind of added to the civilian supply lines and made some connections with people and done some volunteer work. And yeah, now I've just been kind of trying to figure out what things are looking like going forward and how sustainable that is. Those are conversations we've had. And I think I'm starting to get a different view on things since I've been back. Some weird stuff happened. Yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything. I'm just hit my mute
Yeah,
button
no,
so
I'm
we
not,
don't
I'm
ever
just,
talk.
I'm letting it go. That's fine. So I've learned over the years that I'm a better interviewer if I talk less. Probably when I first started, I had to talk all the time. I mainly just want to hear other people at this point. However, now I am one of the biggest talkers you'll ever meet. I would like to pause right there before we talk about your most recent excursion back. And I just want to thank a couple of people real quick. We were able to get donations through the New American Media, which were fantastic. I want to thank Amber. I want to thank Cassie. They were able to provide cash donations that went directly to Grizzly to help his efforts. We funneled those right over, and they're very helped. Thank you both. Those were awesome donations and went right to that guy. So thank you for that. And I also wanted to say thank you to Dick's Sporting Goods and Advanced Auto Parts and Lowe's. Wow, did Lowe's load my vehicle up with water and supplies and disinfectant and shovels and this and that. Like, they would have kept giving me things if I had a bigger vehicle to drive down. But just want to say thank you to all of those people. Made it really cool. Oh, and to build your own bug out bags. Thank you so much, because that's a thing that I do. And this was maybe my first opportunity to kind of deploy what I've always wanted to do with BYOBOB. It's a silly name, but I like it. Build your own bug out bag. I'm a bit of a reseller and a repurposer. I don't like useful things going to waste, or I think more people should be prepared. So I've been build your own bug out bags, and it's like you can kind of customize it with this or that. So we just made a bunch of them and brought them down, and Dick's Sporting Goods donated one, and we filled it with stuff. And so, I mean, it was important for us to go down and see it. Number one, I mean, that's why we do what we do. That's why we went to all three of the conventions this year: Libertarian, Republican, and Democrat. That's why we went out to the Bundy Ranch. It's why we went to Occupy LA. It's why we go to places where news is happening. And we want to just kind of get a real feel for what the temperament, what the mood is. Just you pick up on so much by just being in an area, as opposed to you click on a thing, you watch what someone wanted you to see, however that's been carefully packaged, delivered, and then you go, oh, okay, and then you move along. But sometimes you just need to go places. And this was a good opportunity to do that. I think we were trying to get into some places other than the two city. What is it? Newland was the last one, and the first one was, what was the first name one again?
Weaverville. Yeah.
Weaverville. We were going to try to get into some other areas, but some of these places were kind of blocked off. And obviously we're in a bit of a caravan situation with supplies being delivered. It wasn't easy to navigate. But you're saying you went back recently to a couple different areas. What did you take away from those? Because obviously when Blake is finished with the project, we'll put this out and we can kind of see what we filmed and the people we met and the places we went. But the stuff we weren't there for, what did we miss?
Yeah, first I just want to say thank you too to everybody that's pitched in. That first week, everybody was just, at least in my neck of the woods, everybody's sitting around without power, just kind of seeing bits and pieces of what people are live streaming. Definitely being here, we're seeing what's going on because we're friends with people in these areas. So like what we see on social media is way different than what somebody in another state's going to see, because you just see stuff from the people you're connected with.
Yeah,
so we're trying to put all these pieces together.
Yeah.
Everybody is just saying how helpless they feel. Like, oh, what can I do? This is so terrible. What can I do? What can I do? That's how I was feeling. And I just made the decision that I was going to do something. And I just tried to start making noise. And honestly, I couldn't have done anything without the help from you guys and my town and people that have, sent money to help us get fuel and to make all these trips and get all these things together that people need. So I really just appreciate everybody helping me be able to do something, because that helped me personally. And I know it's inspired a lot of other people. Just, one person can't do much, but, a community of people, light hands, or what is it? Many hands make light work, right?
Yeah.
And
tell us more about who else was inspired. Tell me that part.
yeah, even just, connecting with personal friends I grew up with that I hadn't seen in like 10, 15 years. Even like locally, just, I've kind of rekindled friendships through this whole thing, which has been amazing.
Well, they say during the worst of times that's often when you will see the best that humanity has to offer. It's unfortunate. Once again, I was back home for a family thing, and unfortunately, someone had passed away. But it's good to see those people again. It's just unfortunate we had to meet under these circumstances. So, yeah, what's that famous opening to that famous book? It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. But yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate everybody. That's been the biggest thing. It's just, personally, I think our culture has, we celebrate comfort as, how evolved we are, how smart we are, just by how comfortable we are. And in that comfort, we've basically forgot how to do everything for ourselves. And that's why when things like this happen, it's so bad, because the people that we rely on to have our back so we don't have to know that stuff don't always show up as quickly or as effectively as they need to. And that costs people lives. I know there's only so much people can even do. The more I've seen the scale of the situation and how difficult it is to get into these places, like, it makes sense why some people didn't get help and still haven't until like this week. They're still going in and getting into places they haven't. The biggest thing is just how downplayed it was, though. Just like it wasn't even really, like nothing even happened, and it's a damn shame. And that's probably cost a lot more people that could have been saved a lot, just, I mean, who knows? It's all like, it's so chaotic and so huge. But the answer definitely isn't downplaying it and act like nothing's going on and just like, continuing on his business as usual. There's still like, probably, this is like affecting an area that's bigger than a lot of European countries, like whole countries. So just think about throwing a random dart at a map in Europe and hitting a country and just taking all their water and power away for like 6 months. Like, what would that do? Because that just happened in America. And, bare minimum, it's going to be months and months and months before people have power and water. And before I have to go, I just want to check in with you about my last trip and my feelings. I definitely am like more hopeful and like less hopeful. Like the more I keep going,
worst of times, best of times, worst of times.
Yeah, it's like
you need to design a tattoo, like a yin and a yang of like how you're seeing the best of times and the worst of times. I feel like that'd be a cool thing for you to design. Also, shout out real quick. Thank you for the original. Oh, can I see it? Here we go. There we go. That's a 1 of 1 right there. That's a Grizzly tattoo. 1 of 1. Peep that eagle. Love that eagle. But yeah, maybe a yin and yang in the. So tell us about what you're more hopeful on and what you're more concerned about. Yeah, I guess it's 6 of 1, half dozen of the other, huh?
Yeah, I guess what's kind of setting in for me is, which was really upsetting this last trip. There's some towns now, like, like Chimney Rock is full of National Guard. They're up there doing some work, it seems like. It only took like 2 weeks to get them in there, but, you can.
So it was 2 weeks to get National Guard into Chimney Rock?
Yeah, it seems like they're doing a lot of work up there now and helping a lot of people. But, that's in a situation like this, that's not fast enough. The lack of action over the first, like, not even just the first 2 or 3 days, but the whole first week, it was just like,
it should have been a really strong. it should have been a really strong presence right off the top, and it just kind of felt like everything was really slow to get started. And we've looked at some of the timelines of the responses, and it really does seem criminally negligent. Kenneth, what's up? Thanks for joining us today. Asking if Brian got some ink. Nope, I am still one of the only people on earth who has virgin skin, 0 tattoos. Thank you very much. But if I was feeling up, if I was in the mood for a tattoo, I definitely would have checked out one of those. Maybe I would have got that eagle. I would have got that eagle on my forearm or on my bicep. But so
yeah, next time we'll hang out again. It was a busy couple of days while you were here. We didn't have time for that, you know.
It was a busy couple times, and we appreciate kind of sending us on the tour for sure, because I wouldn't have known where I was going and how to get like any of that stuff. And it was great having the connections and just the relief and the concern. There was so much energy going on, but you know, the first drop off point when we saw all those truckers with their own rigs at that location, and it was just like pallets and fork trucks, forklifts moving items into this truck, that truck. We're taking this here, we're taking this there. It was just like, all right, well, damn it. I don't know why none of the trucks there had big FEMA signs on the sides of them. It was just Americans. And it's like, if you can't help out at moments like this, what are you good for? So I guess, what were you more concerned about having gone on this last trip? What did you see that concerned you? And where were you inspired again?
Yeah, it's just now it kind of seems like FEMA, the feds, it's kind of panned out. You can see the places that they are going and are going to do things, and the places that they're just not going to, you know. And like Hot Springs, and this is just my opinion. This is me going there. I can't speak for everybody and their experience, and I'm seeing a ton of people coming together, working super hard, and you know, it's definitely been the most ultimate reminder for these communities about what's important and who to rely on. But I think this week, my biggest concern is the realization that I think a lot of these towns this week are now having the conversation where they went into like rescue recovery mode. Okay, now we have to start cleaning up. But now it's setting in like, oh, what a big task this is. We have to completely rebuild the entire town, from like the plumbing, the roads, the electricity, the buildings, from the ground up. And unless there is huge hundreds of millions of dollars poured into each individual small town, that's going to be such a daunting task. And I think people are starting to have the conversation like, is it even worth cleaning up? You know, like, is it even worth trying to put these pieces together? Because these towns are already super dependent on each season with the Appalachian Trail being successful, with people like coming to watch the leaves change and coming to hike and coming to fish and camp. And a lot of these towns couldn't afford one bad season anyways. And now they're seeing like, I'm going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in the hole just to reset back up. And then it's going to be years before it can remotely be what it used to be. And as a small business owner, there is no way in hell I could do something like that. And I know that's like 98% of the people in this situation. There are some towns that have been directly targeted and are being assisted with like heavy equipment stuff now. Like it seems like Damascus is getting a lot of like aid. Chimney Rock's getting a lot of aid. Asheville's obviously getting a lot more aid. But places like, I went to Spruce Pine, man. I drove through Spruce Pines and it was a ghost town, dude. There was 3 people in the whole town, not even doing anything. There was just 3 people there. Like it was a complete ghost town. I drove from like one end to the other end. I don't know. Maybe it was just the day. Everybody took the day off and is just hiding. But like, it looked like some Walking Dead shit. That's just mud and dust and cars and just nobody, you know. And Hot Springs was about the same way. I went there. There was like 7 people. I asked the dude to volunteer. He was just kind of like, I don't even know what to tell you to do at this point. You know, everybody's just kind of sitting back. I think it's kind of setting in, and these towns are starting to have that difficult conversation. that, like, you know, some people are really desperately trying to just put the pieces back together, because if that's all they have, this is like their family business for generations. And if they stop now, what are they going to do? They're just going to go curl up in a fucking ball somewhere. Like, no, they're trying, but I'm just trying to have the honest conversation. I'm not trying to discourage people, but I'm trying to have that honest conversation. Like, hey, if people don't start dramatically focusing and helping these individual, like, Appalachian trail towns, there are going to be, like, 5 or 10 years from now, like, TikToks about, like, oh, look, this is a ghost town. Like, people are going to go explore these places that were just abandoned after the flood, and they'll just be a ghost town now.
I just saw a video of that in Flint, Michigan. It was like a former school, and like in the gymnasium, it was a foot of water with all the seats, and there was stacks of bottled water in a room, like just piles of thousands of bottles of water. And I lived in Los Angeles, and I did that drive. Was it Route 66? It runs parallel to the 10 freeway, and it's just kind of like it's the previous thoroughfare, main lane, where everything was, and it's just off the side. There's old hotels, there's old houses, there's old businesses. They're just like melting away into the landscape. And a lot of these places, small roads up to small homes in hard to reach areas, like, will those be rebuilt, or will those be just left there? And yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions now, for sure.
And how these towns are built, you might have like this one town, it's like 1,000 people, but then there's like all around in the mountains, there's all these little communities of people. There could be multiple more thousands of people just within like 30-45 minutes all over the place around it. But that's the heart of all these people. Like, that's where they have to drive to go to the store. That's where they take their kids into school.
Yeah.
And now that economy is gone, like, excuse me if you guys hear noise. I'm at the tattoo shop. My family just showed up and stuff. But yeah, man. And that's breaking my heart, because these are places that, like, I know now, like, my kids are going to be grown up before they're remotely repaired to anything. So, like, I'm not going to be able to make those memories with them that I got to make when I was a kid, if anything, if they're not just abandoned, like, what I see is people coming in. There's a lot of talk about different mining operations, big corporations coming in and just buying up buying up the land in the town, and it'll be presented to people as like, oh, they're here to help. They're going to, like, rebuild the town and make all these new jobs and blah, blah, blah. But basically what you're going to see is these beautiful, magical Appalachian trail towns that are all about nature and family and being in the outdoors, and they're going to get turned into a mining town. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be turned into like that big corporate funded cookie cutter, cheaply built, and it's the only job in the whole town is going to be the fucking mining country store. It's the same shit that these mountains, these people come from in the first place, coal mining towns, and that, that's awful to think about. Just the spirit of what these towns are. And that's what people don't think about. Even if they're rebuilt, it's going to be by big corporate money. It's not going to be by small town money. And that will change the heart. And these people just don't have an option. They're just going to have to move away. A lot of people are now realizing, like, hey, you're not getting power back on for 4 to 6 months. Can you hang out all winter with no water and power? Most people can't. Even if you're not on a dirt road up on top of a mountain, like, most people couldn't do that in a suburb.
Yeah, but
they're going to try to open their business,
There should be places where you could have, tiny homes delivered. You could have a temporary situation while the roads are rebuilt and the plumbing and infrastructure is rerouted. And it's just what I think when we were there, the feds had announced $157 million going to rebuild some foreign nation, maybe Lebanon or something. And it's like, where's the investment to rebuild this area? And I know it's happening, sort of, but these are questions we should have some concrete answers to. What federal money has been brought forward, what emergency relief funds have been petitioned for, what local governor, mayor / working with the governor of North Carolina, like what is being done, what are the updates? And I'm sure those updates are out there somewhere, but the fact that I don't really have any update off the top of my head means the message isn't getting out there, which makes me wonder, has anything been freed up or allocated other than, like you said, a lithium mine or a quartz mine company trying to come in and buy everything at bargain basement prices? And we heard the same concerns in Maui after that natural disaster. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it was terrible. There were a lot of people who were displaced and a lot of frustration that it seemed like the feds were coming in and bullying people instead of helping people. So I guess since the time I talked with you, is there a universal feeling toward the feds and FEMA and the relief services in general, or is it just depending on which person you talk to and which stories coming up? Is it all over the place, or is there a pretty common theme to, the heartbeat, the pulse of the area?
Unfortunately, with the issues with FEMA now, it's being, I love a good conspiracy theory all day, but the lack of transparency and honesty on the coverage of what happened and what is continuing to happen versus the amount of basically we're just left to go online and try to put the pieces together, and it's just a mountain of conspiracy theories. Some of them, who knows? But what it's doing is it's doing more harm than good right now, because on both sides of the table, it's making people not take the issues seriously, because whether you believe the conspiracy or not, or whatever, all we can do is just all I'm trying to do is have an honest conversation about what happened, how it was handled, and going forward, what needs to be adjusted from the what as citizens do we need from FEMA? Why am I a conspiracy theorist for asking that question? Why can't I have an honest conversation about how a situation's handled without being accused of, you know what I'm saying? And all it's doing is giving them permission to make the same mistakes in the future, because people are just focusing on weather control technology, or oh, you're just trying to get Trump elected, or blah blah blah. But really what you have is a bunch of people sitting outside in tents or under makeshift houses this week, and it's about to start snowing in a day or two here. It's temperatures are going down, and you're going to have tens of thousands of people without power or water trying to live through, freezing conditions in tents all over America. But nobody's having that conversation, and FEMA is doing things. They are. Is it enough? In my opinion, absolutely not. Was it a fast enough response? Could it be more effective? If we're settling with how this was handled as this is as good as it gets, just deal with it, then we need to rethink about being the best country in the world. America's not what it used to be then. Why should we settle? Why shouldn't we try to be perfect about things like this? If anything should be taken serious, why isn't this? That's the question that we should be having. And I think as citizens, we have the right to ask those questions and to expect better in the future. But instead of being able to have that conversation, they're just going to cover it up and make everybody seem like idiots down here, and pump up some other, they're just taking, it's already old news, for most people in most states. It's just old news already. But for here, it's everything. For hundreds of thousands of people, it's everything. Even people that didn't lose their houses that are doing fine, if your whole local town economy is gone, it's gonna, you might have a month or two to chill and figure it out, but everybody's just really banking that that help is, and I don't see it. Some places will be fine. Like I said, some places are going to be ghost towns, and there's just, until somebody comes in and buys it all up and does something different. I would like to see neither of those happen. And the whole reason that I'm even talking about it is, like you said, why can't people come in? The people can do all the things you're saying. They're just not, and they're not interested, either because they lack empathy for human life, or that the narrative is so fucked up that they don't feel the need, that people just don't even need that help, and they do, but the narrative's not there. And like going to Marshall, okay, I'll just try to wrap it up and finish up with some of the things that I saw. Hot Springs, I know there's still stuff going on. People are trying to rebuild businesses, but like the vibe is, it's one of my favorite places in the world, man. I love Hot Springs, and that really depressed me. It just, you at least want to go in and see like a whole community of refugees like rallying together, like we're taking it back and blah blah blah. It's just, the reality is like that's just less and less. Like more and more people are just moving out and having to go somewhere else because winter's coming. Like I tried to get into Marshall, around Marshall. So I go to Hot Springs. There's nobody. There's like 7 people. I don't see a single state, local, fed, nobody.
Now, Hot Springs was on the list of where we were going to go originally, I think.
Yeah, that's what we talked about in the first show I did with you guys. I drive over to try to go to Marshall to try to like bring some donations in there, but basically all the entrances, there's feds everywhere, man. They're hiding like tigers in the bushes, like just poking out, like blacked out fed cars. Like every turn you go are just like creeping. And I'm trying to find like a road to get into town. Most of them are like, the ways were all like blocked and reverting you to like a volunteer center. And I went down one road, and then like one of those federal cars pulled out and started following us. But I went down the mountain, like around the curve, and I pulled off into this parking lot. And then he like passed us, and as he passed us, he just like got on his radio and was like me mugging the shit out of us and went like really slow. So I just got out of there and went the other way, and I tried to find another route to go into the city. And I ended up finding like where this volunteer center was, but apparently the only way to really get in there is to like sign up, and then they bus you in to do cleaning or whatever, and then they bus you back out because they got it all shut down. And then you'll go like right down the road to Hot Springs, and there's just nothing, dude, nothing. So they'll have like one town locked down, federal agents, National Guard, blah blah blah, and then there's other towns right by it, and there's nothing, no help at all. All the people are gone. And that's how Spruce Pines felt. There was nothing, no cops, no activity, no feds, nothing. Felt like a ghost town, man. And it was depressing. And then I go back to Newland, where you went, to go to that church, because I was like, I'll go check on them while I'm down here. So I drove all over the state, man. We drove around for like all over the place. And honestly, it blew my mind too. I didn't see a single lineman working on electricity in like 6 hours of driving around, like all over the state. Like here in my town, there was like 100 in the parking lot. And then I go down there, I didn't see a single lineman all day working on power. And there's just electrical lines down everywhere, man, everywhere. Like you saw it. Some of those roads have just been untouched. I didn't see a single one. I'm not saying they're not there. I'm not saying they're not doing anything. That was my experience. I just like obviously noticed
their lack of presence.
There's just no linemen there doing anything. The only people I see fixing roads and bridges is like civilians, like country dudes with backhoes and like their personal bulldozers and stuff. I'm not saying it's not happening, but it's definitely not on the scale that you would like to think. If there's fixing roads and bridges is like, and I go to Newland, and the people at the church were like had it temporarily shut down. But that big parking lot next to the church that was like full of mud, and it looked like there was like an old,
it was like a Family Dollar or something.
Yeah, something like that. That abandoned one that was just like a mud parking lot, basically. Somebody named the Yellow Cross. I looked it up. It's like a Christian group. I don't think they're like the big Red Cross or anything. I think it's just like, I didn't look into it too much, but there was just like one vehicle there that was marked that way. And they had brought in like, looked like 30 or 40 pallets of stuff to donate to people. And they had it all set out in that parking lot that was like full of mud next to the church. And there was actually like 50 civilians when we got there. It was the most people I've seen like getting aid. Everybody's going through boxes, getting stuff. I bring my stuff. I just put it with their stuff and people start getting it. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, dude, this is awesome. Like, I mean, it wasn't awesome because like this is American and this looks like, you know, a third world disaster zone. Like people are just in a mudded out parking lot going through boxes trying to get stuff to take back to their house. And there's like 50 people, a whole parking lot full of people just trying to get clothes and like find a pair of shoes that fit, you know, and like here's a pillow. Like I don't have any fucking pillows, you know. Super sad, but everybody's getting help. Okay, then dude, while I'm standing there, 2 cops come in and they get out on a megaphone and start yelling at everybody, and they make everybody leave, and they set up a perimeter around all of our stuff, and they say that this isn't a donation center. You can't do that here. We have to distribute all this stuff to like the local fire department and churches around, and you have to go to them to get this stuff. So they like,
all right, hold on,
yeah,
hold on. This
it's insane, dude.
let me
And it was
just
handled so poorly and so negative. Even if that's the case and the responsible thing to do because you want it to be fair, and like it was handled so fucking poorly that they just ran all these poor people that needed help away and told them like just get out, you know, like.
All right. Let me just make sure I have so this was at the parking lot next door covered in mud or at the church?
In the parking lot with mud next to the church.
Okay. And who was organizing this? It's just a community thing?
There were some people there like like cooking out hot meals for free. Right. And then like the other people were like associated with the Yellow Cross, but I really don't know much about it. I hadn't had time to look into it very much.
All right. And who came with the megaphones? That was the police?
Yeah, it looked like there was like a local police and then like a sheriff.
And they said, get out of here. You're not allowed to donate items?
Yeah, well, they just got out with the megaphone. They were like, basically, yeah, they just started yelling at everybody. The guy was, half the people were Hispanic, half the people were white, you know. It came off as extremely racist. Like the guy was trying to speak like really bad Spanish, like yelling at all the minorities. It was awful, dude. It was handled so poorly. And it pissed me off. And I was like starting to load my stuff back up. But yeah, they just came in and was like, yeah, you guys can't do that here. Like, we're going to set up a perimeter. Like, you're taking advantage of this stuff. And we have to move equal parts of it to like the different distributing centers around here. You can't distribute from here.
I mean, somebody owns that parking lot. It used to have 3 businesses in it. You could see where the signs were, where the sun came. I forget what businesses they were, but like the whole place looked empty. In a time of crisis, like what are you worried about a parking lot for?
Oh, it's completely abandoned parking lot. There's no business there. Nobody was blocking anything.
Yeah, that's the part I'm not following here at all.
It honestly came off as like, hey, some of these, and I'm just being honest, like this is not my opinion, but this is how it came out to me. Is just like, hey, some of these minorities are taking too much and other people aren't getting enough. Like it came off as like very like racially driven. And I don't know what the guy was thinking or like why they came, or if it's just about controlling and distributing fairly or whatever. Maybe their intentions are good, but it wasn't handled good at all. And they ran away. Like, I mean, these are like people with their kids and stuff. And then the cops get out and they're like, everybody get out of here. Like, you can't be here. Evacuate like, we're putting up a perimeter. And they like taped it all off and they ran everybody away. And people are like running out of there with armfuls of like clothes and pillows and like trying to grab soap so they can go home and wash shit. And they're getting ran away by the police.
And that's
insane, dude.
Yeah, you brought up Latinos and getting driven out of, and we're at Halloween. It reminds me of the video I saw last year. This lady was getting dragged. I think she was with 2 kids, a Latino lady, and it was like the Ring camera, and it was like, take a piece of candy. And like they're just they took all of the candy and dumped the whole thing and left nobody for anybody else. They were being called like locusts. You know, you swarmed and you took everything and you left nothing for anybody else. So,
and that happens, man. There's always like 1 or 2 people that are going to take advantage of a situation. But in a situation like this, hey, maybe this dude has 8 kids at his house. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe he's taking all that stuff because he has people up on the side of the mountain living in a tent. And they're thinking about like surviving for a week. Do you know how much shit it takes to survive for a week for a family with like children? A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
Especially if drinking water isn't clean. You know, you don't just open the tap and you get fresh drinking water, and your sanitation isn't up to snuff, and the lights don't come out. Yeah, I mean, you can't. The cascading problems that are created. Yeah, but we had heard that story as well, that FEMA was confiscating or blocking deliveries.
I've heard that. I haven't witnessed it. Honestly, I didn't see any FEMA the whole time either. I didn't see any linemen, didn't see any FEMA. I've been seeing a few National Guard peppered around doing stuff.
Right.
And I've seen blacked out like Fed agents. Like
what are they up to? What I mean, unmarked cars, the blacked out SUVs with 6 doors on them, 4 doors on them.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing, man. And then, you know, that just happened. That was the local police.
Yeah.
It seemed like. So I wouldn't be surprised. That's generally how things are being handled by any government, pretty much. You know, like they just want to get in and they don't steal it, but they'll take it over and manage its distribution for you. You know what I'm saying? But they won't help you manage the situation as civilians, but they'll take your stuff and manage it for you.
Yes, just like they take our tax dollars and they make sure that a place that I couldn't point out on a map gets 157 million. Why did that go anywhere but 157 million into rebuilding the places devastated? Like, it doesn't make sense to see the parallels of our priorities. Where's the foreign aid from other countries pouring into North Carolina to help? I haven't heard of it. Maybe it is. I haven't heard anything.
And that's, I mean, the narrative is like, hey, these people don't even need help. It seems like, you know, that's what's blowing my mind. Is it's not even like the government could issue like, hey, can somebody come help? Like, is our government even asking for other countries to help us, or are they just pretending that there's nothing to be helped and everything's fine? That's a big question too. Like, they're not going to send aid if it's being made out like we don't need it. Like, most people are like, oh, you're America, you guys got that covered. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I see a lot of just real people, real towns.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to be okay, and a lot of them aren't. It's just a fact. And unless some, you know, one of these ridiculous billionaire dudes, like Elon Musk or something, I know he's like giving people satellites and stuff, but you can't eat those, bro. Like, you can't eat them. I can't rebuild a town out of a satellite, unless you come in and put your money where your mouth is and show people that you actually care about Americans, regardless of their political beliefs, regardless if you think they're hillbillies or whatever. Unfortunately, we're gonna lose like some of the heart of what I personally think that makes this country beautiful, you know, which is like the nature we have. You know, the Appalachian Mountains is, I mean, it's a treasure, man, for the world. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. And these towns are expressions of that beauty, and they only exist because people come to appreciate that beauty. But now, you know, it's depressing, man.
Well, all right. So yes, it is. When did this happen? 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago? Are we almost on a month now on this storm?
Like
3 weeks,
a little over 2 weeks, I guess. 2.5 weeks.
2.5 coming up on 3 weeks.
2.5. Yeah.
It's wild. Well, tell us about what you're continuing to do and how people can help and what's the next step in the process, because it just kind of seems like the long supply chain of you 2 hours in, or, you know, it seems like some pathways have been built, some lily pads to jump onto so you can cross the lake, kind of jumping on different churches and different distribution areas in the civilian supply chain. You know, you kind of stepped up and said you wanted to participate and be a hub where things could go, and and they could go out to those places. And yeah, we spent a lot of time unloading a lot of things that went to a lot of places. What is the plan moving forward? Like, what are you looking to acquire? How are you, like, do you want things delivered? Like, if somebody wanted to send some help, would they uh, have any of the items that you need the most delivered to your tattoo shop, or like transferred through a Cash App, or like what, like what is your plan, and how can people help? Like, what are people going to need the most, and how are you going to plan to navigate the next couple weeks, couple months?
Yeah, I've been really trying to think in my head also, just like the best, like I said, I'm just a dude, so I'm trying to, what's this look like in a week? What's it look like in a month from now? Like, what's the best way to be effective with as little resources as I have? I'm still going to be taking donations, and as I get things, get a good load of things, I have the people down there that I personally know that now that I can get them to, that will make sure they get to people instead of into hands that I trust less. But personally, I'm offering 20% of every tattoo that I do. I'm going to just take that money directly in to funding, helping these families. I would like to try to find, it's hard to do. Because right now I'm also like, I took like 2 weeks off of work when all this happened. I was out of work for a week because I didn't have power or water, and then I took a week off to just like focus on helping people. So now I'm gotta start thinking about paying my bills and making sure that like all my business is taken care of for my kids and my family while trying to help people. But really, people need generators. People need to be thinking about how people are going to survive the winter. People need like good winter coats and clothing and supplies and tents, and think about like if you needed to survive the next whole winter, like outside, what would you do? In the mountains, not just like in a city, but like up in the mountains, what would you do?
Yeah, I just wonder, like, how many people are like, are there centers, homeless centers? Like, are there places to sleep? Are there safe gymnasiums, or did they set up a tiny home village for anybody, while it takes time to rebuild? And I just, I don't understand where the tiny home village is. These things could all be shipped in. It's doable. I know it's doable. I've volunteered with these people. I've built earth ships. I've worked with Elvis Summers out in Los Angeles, building like these single person trailer, small, tiny home. It's just that it'll give you a place to sleep out of the elements and a little bit of power, or you can, maybe a communal shower facility. Like, where is all this stuff? Where are the places for these people to, I just, as I look at these problems, I try to engineer a better way. And I'm sure I'm not aware of every program that's being offered, but on the sides of the roads in some of these impacted areas, wouldn't they be lined with a bunch of these things for people to use in emergency situations? So yeah, I mean, obviously you need to take care of you and your family first and foremost, because it's like they say on the airplane, put on your own oxygen mask before you attempt to help your neighbor. You're no good to anybody else if your ecosystem is in chaos. If you can't take care of yourself, how can you help somebody else? So number one, the best way to help is to take care of yourself, and put that priority there for sure. But then there's also, okay, while you're doing that, are you accumulating some supplies? You're going to take weekly trips or monthly, like whatever, and teaming up with others. Like, it's not going to stop, and you're trying to find the most efficient way forward. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of procedural things that don't exist and that can be improved upon if they do exist. So, you know, looking forward then, uh, as it gets cold, you need cold weather stuff for people to be kind of passed out, and generators and warm clothing and tents and camping stuff, Coleman stoves and all that jazz.
Yeah, basically I'm going to be at least once a week going personally, taking supplies down over the weekends, trying to get together what I can through the week, go down one of the days on the weekends. Personally, I am gonna, as I can, be signing up for just like shoveling mud and like helping people clean and stuff, as I can. But it seems like those avenues, and of course, like there is safety issues, like some places are blocked off because like, dude, you can't drive in there. There's a freaking mile long mudslide. You know what I'm saying? Like some places, it's not all conspiracy. That's what I'm trying to say. Some places are extremely dangerous. There's even just what's in the pollutants in the mud and in the water and in the walls of the buildings. There's sewage and stuff from plastic plants and everything. So like it's not really super safe to be in there breathing and digging in that stuff. So there is certain protocols that do need to be practiced. I get that. So I'm going to be personally, like, I know more than anything, people need a voice to get out to people that can help more than just poor country people. And we need to start linking. Families need to be sponsored, and I know that's like, if you pay taxes to the government, you sponsor them. Sponsor, if you can do it, sponsor one of these families, man. Like it'll make an entire, like Christmas is coming. Are they at best, you're saying like, aren't there centers they're setting up and blah? Yeah, there are. I saw they just set one up outside of Spruce Pines, but after going to Spruce Pines, I'm like, is anybody even going to stay in that center now? You waited so long. The only people that are going to be in there are like the poorest of poor that can't afford to leave. Most people are going to go live somewhere else for the winter or just try to go start over somewhere else. And then you're just going to have the poorest of poor people just like, you're just going to be stuck in one of those camps. Like school's not open. Like what are your kids doing? They're not going to school. You're not going to work. What are you going to do? Sit around and twiddle your thumbs for 4 or 5 months in a damn FEMA camp? Like, no. That's like best case scenario for some people right now, unless somebody comes in and sponsors their family and makes sure that they're safe at whatever they have, if their house is in ruins, make sure they have somewhere safe to stay there so they don't have to go stay in one of these damn camps, or facilities. Because honestly, like, yeah, it's great in an emergency immediate response situation, but it's not a long-term solution. Like you can't fill a gymnasium up with a bunch of women and children surrounded by government officials and just feed them rations for 5 or 6 months and hope the economy comes back at some point. Like that's not sustainable either. And it's hell for the people that have to do that. That sounds fucking awful. A lot of people would rather sit around a damn generator or a propane stove up in the mountains than go sit down there surrounded by that shit. They would rather just rough it, and that's going to be real hard, and I don't blame them. Or they're just going to have to leave and go somewhere else. So we need people that are willing to step in financially for people. We need people that are willing to step in and get dirty. Like, we need you to suit up and get in there. Like, the people there can't rebuild these towns. Like, we need people to rally up. You got all these YouTubers and influencers and all these people with all this money, man. Like, get your people together, get 2,000 people and a bunch of money and go to Hot Springs and stay there for a week and rebuild that fucking town for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could do that. Like, these people can't. And if nobody else does it, then, like I said, it'll be a ghost town or some big mining company is going to come in and buy it up. So that's the type of stuff I would love to see, man. I would love to see.
I think it was your mom sent, there's a Amazon wish list. I was scrolling through the stuff on here. It's camping stuff. It's tent heaters and little generators and blankets, all that warm stuff you were talking about. And Kenneth is asking, is there a website or something about this sponsoring? Sponsoring is a good idea. I can say that if TNAM can attract donations that are specifically earmarked to go that way, like Cassie and Amber were so generous to donate. you know, the question is like, how do we sponsor a family? How do we, okay, good idea, but how? What does that look like? How does it work? Maybe we don't have that answer per se. But we can keep funneling some stuff your way. You know,
Yeah, I'm doing everything I possibly can, and I personally like I know there's a pastor that of a church that lost his entire house and everything he owns. I could, if I can save up the money, I'm going to go buy him a generator and I'm just going to take it to him and give it to him. You know what I'm saying? Like meeting real people and asking them what they need. That's what I've been doing, connecting with people that live there that I know personally and trying to ask them who they know. But that's the best I got. And I'm doing everything I can. And I know a lot of other people are doing that. But yeah, if somebody's out there with abundant resources, if you know how to code, like make an app for free that's a crisis app that people can sign up for and just to network, just to network with each other, like something you can post and connect to people by state. And you could have a profile of like, hey, this is me, this is what my family needs, this is my situation, I lost my job, lost my house, like, and then make that personal connection where you don't have to go to some big hairy dig you don't know like me and be like, maybe you don't want to send me money. Like, cool, don't trust me, don't trust anybody, trust yourself, think for yourself, I'm all about it, but also take this shit serious. There are answers. Like, we're the most capable people in the world. Like, the answer is not that you're helpless, the answer is not somebody else will fix it. The answer is fucking think and do something and just try, it's not impossible. And we're all going to be facing situations probably bigger than that. I mean, who knows what we're going to be facing? Who knows the next thing when you might need somebody like me to come help you? You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows if I personally might need somebody? So I think just going forward, having a more organized civilian, like, great, keep FEMA, do your thing. But if it's not enough, then let's take it into our own hands and have that second layer of support, that second layer of action. If something happens and there's giant tornadoes on Tornado Alley, those people can get connected to real people. If something happens in Florida next year with the hurricanes, or right now, I mean, there's people in Florida that need help. Instead of having to sit back and be like, oh, I hope FEMA does something. Oh, I hope some billionaire does something. Like, if we could all be connected and organized, and if we can do social media, we can definitely be organized about search and rescue and about, sponsoring families after disasters, something like that. I mean, there's got to be somebody out there that can do that. If you can do it, do it. Hit me up. Yeah. We'll make a noise about it. We'll get people to help you.
Yeah, I was saying, like, what if there was an Uber or a Lyft for supplies? It's like, instead of everyone donated, to fill up a tractor, a trailer, a truck pulling a large trailer, and what 10 miles a gallon at $3-4 a gallon, like, it adds up super fast. But what if there was like an Uber or Lyft for supplies? It's like, I have so many square whatever I can fill up that much stuff. And it's like, okay, well, you're headed that direction? Great. Can you take things an hour this way and deliver them to this point? And then maybe like you could just build a conveyor belt. But as you're talking about FEMA and who's coming in to help, it just reminded me of this story: everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. I always go back to that. It's so it's powerful, because that is the human condition. We all think somebody else should be doing stuff when it's like any one of us could have done it, but nobody's doing it. And now someone's getting angry that it's just, we see it during times of tragedy. We want other people to be doing more, and we want to be as effective and efficient as we can. But then it's like, also, we're not sure where we fit into the whole system. People try to do stuff and they're blocked by FEMA. And look, if there's untraversable roads, I don't know if that's a way to say that, but non-traversable roads, things that have washed away and they're extreme dangers, or you have power lines down that are shooting sparks at people. Okay, I get that you should quarantine that off and repair that before you let it, but like, in the chaos of where it feels like people are having goods blocked and that aid is being blocked, whether that's what they're intending to do or not, they have to be aware of the optics. There has to be more of a presence. You don't just want more people for the sake of being more people, more trucks, more vehicles with the FEMA thing slapped on the side. But it would be nice to know that the presence was obvious and omnipresent, that it was everywhere, that it was just, we got this under control. There's a rhyme and a reason. There's a plan. There's effort being put in, as opposed to, it's like you look around, you don't see much in a lot of places, and it's like everyone else goes, well, then fine, I'll do something. Nobody's doing anything. I'm somebody. Anybody could do it. All right, I'm somebody. Everybody could be doing this.
And it's just really like, there just needs to be a better way than like, everybody's trying to use Facebook and stuff to do like all these connections between who needs help. And it's not designed for that. You know what I'm saying? It's not designed for that. And it's full of fact checking your post, and we're going to prioritize this comment over that. And it's not like, you can't have an honest conversation. Personally, like, I had 3 of my posts flagged and suspended that I had to like center review, and they put them back up, but they were just like literally me as a business. No politics whatsoever. Just like, hey, I'm having a community meal and taking donations to help people. And it's like flagged, like account suspended for the day. Like, there needs to be, even right now, like, we can take in supplies, but there's no organization between like this donation center has too much food and water, but they don't have anything else, or this place has not enough food and water, but they have all of this, survival stuff. There's just like, nobody knows who has what, and you just show up and they'll take certain things and they don't need other things. And then like, who knows how, like, Mamaw that lives up the dirt road in the holler that got washed out, like, she can't drive down to the church and pick shit up. So somebody has to get on a 4-wheeler, and every 2 or 3 days they have to go check in with thousands of people. And that's being done by civilians for the most part. And we're spending our gas and our money and our time. So they're just going forward, regardless, instead of maybe, hounding the feds doesn't really get anything done. So I think the best thing we can do is just take that power into our hands and try to be more organized for the future. And like, I think we have that responsibility for our kids. There's kids that are unaccounted for all over these different counties. There's schools are shut down, we could do better. I don't have all the answers in the world. I just know we can do better. And I know going forward, I'm just going to do everything that I personally can. People can get a hold of me at Grizzly Tattoo Inked at Gmail. I guess you can like put my contact stuff like in the, there you go. Email me, if you're interested in doing any of this stuff or helping at all, I'll do my best to connect you with people in different towns. I know people all over the place. And, also going forward, I know personally my wife is a therapist, a licensed therapist in Tennessee, and that's something people aren't talking about. Just the mental health situation. This is a mass trauma event, not just physically. Like, we have to physically address all these things, but there's a lot of children, a lot of people that are going to remember this kind of stuff for the rest of their life. And she is personally trying to network with other licensed therapists that would be willing to donate their time to maybe going and visiting some of these places with us and her, and trying to just bring some try to help people start processing some of the stuff that they've seen, some of the things that have happened, and some of the people that they've lost. It's going to be years of physically rebuilding, and it's going to be years of emotionally rebuilding. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do, man. That's just what we can. And I invite everybody else, like, if you're sitting at home feeling helpless, like, I guarantee you can do something. I guarantee it. It'll make you feel good, man. There's nothing more important in the world you can do with your time than helping your brothers and sisters that need it. Like, that's it, man. There's nothing more in the world more important.
Absolutely. Well, we're hoping to finish up the final edits soon and get that video of our excursion, the guided tour through the disaster area. Yeah, maybe we should have doubled back on that high school that was washed away. That was wild.
I can get you a picture of it.
Yeah. What was the name of that high school?
I'm trying to remember.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, their mascots
this isn't a game show.
I'm trying to remember exactly which school it was. Man.
You're not penalized for not knowing an answer. I don't want people to feel like they're on a game show. But
I really appreciate you guys for working on this with us, and we're all doing our best, and it's people like you that make a difference in situations like this. So I really appreciate it.
Well, to be continued. If this is something that's not going to be going away. It's not something that's quickly repaired or rebuilt. But continuing to put some pressure on, and maybe there's something with the governors, maybe with the mayors, something the people that run these small areas. Maybe there are ways to team up with them locally without having to go to the feds to come back. Maybe there's a direct pathway forward. I saw the damage, and I just kept looking, going, well, maybe there's a way to add some extra pumps into some of these at-risk areas when all the water it could divert it instead of flooding all. I just start thinking of engineering. I just start thinking of, okay, what can we learn? What happened? And is there something we could create, invent, engineer, build, beta test? Just try something in this region. So if the water gets to that level again, well, it's only 100-year thing. Well, good. We'll build for 100 years from now then. Try something if this were to happen again. Well, it has since 1916 is the last time. Okay, well, what can we do? The delivering items to people in need, the Uber app, like, hey, take it as far as you can. And I don't know. There's ideas here, and having people like you on the ground to help is definitely appreciated. We have, Kenneth is saying, a repioneer spirit requiring tears and heroes,
I mean, really, we just need to stop settling for comfort over practicality. And like you said, I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, not just going forward into the future, being able to be more organized and have clearer communication as people, especially in crisis situations, but also how can we rebuild these towns in a way to hopefully try to prevent things like that from happening in the future, because it is just a matter of time. Even if you say 100 years ain't shit, bro, 100 years ain't nothing. That's one person away. So that means my kids or their kids, same thing will happen to them. Fuck that. I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
So if we rebuild, can we rebuild smarter? And you say, well, that sounds great. But then you go, God, that sounds like Agenda 2020, Agenda 2030. It sounds like the 15-minute smart cities. It sounds like what a mining town or a mining company would do to bust everything out and bulldoze the land down to nothing and rebuild it in their image for what they want. It's like, I don't know. I don't know exactly what the best way forward is, because I don't want to live in a prison community. I don't want to be like I'm on a college campus or in a prison cell in this 15-minute city. But some of those components to a 15-minute city are really smart. What if you could walk to the things you need and it was designed in a smart way? It's like, yeah, well, all right. But when it's Lahaina, when it's Maui, when it's Asheville, You just say, I don't know. I would rather try building something from scratch than erasing something else, whether it's Mother Nature that did it or something that was directed. Who knows? We're digging into all of those things, but yeah,
we just can't let them, like, we have to have a, like, this is a democracy, whether you're right or left leaning, like whatever your politics are. What's important is democracy. And the biggest problem in our country now is there's, like, you can go vote, but there's so many people, it's so messy, so much propaganda. Do any of us have a really transparent or clear way to help make decisions? Like, really? Like, any of us? Most of us, we go and vote and we pat ourselves on the back and we just hope that, like, that done something, you know. But I think in a democracy we could be doing better than that in 2024, you know. Like you said, we all have these, like, we all have the ability to communicate. So, like, why can't we communicate what we actually want our decisions to be in a more clear and peaceful way? And yeah, when we rebuild these cities, they're going to prioritize making them convenient over prioritizing the communities that will live in them. We can't let that happen. We have to rebuild for community and for the future. And like you said, not about just being convenient, being able to, like, oh, I could walk a block away and get to McDonald's. You know, it's like, fuck that, dude. No, like, we need people to be smart. We need people to feel free. We need our children to feel like they can express themselves and feel like they can walk down the street safely, and that their town's not going to get hit by a mudslide at any time. And, like, it needs to be about people again, not about, like, the technology that people use. Like, here's my son right here. This is who I'm fighting for, man. It has to be about community, not convenience. And we have to have a voice on how this is going to be done, or it will not be done for us in our favor. It'll be done to fill somebody's big old greedy pockets like everything else is. And we just can't afford to keep letting that happen, man. That's what's wrong with the whole entire country right now, is it's not about people. It's about compliance, comfort, convenience. And now you're seeing what that's done is actually engineering situations where we're, like, poorer and have less of a voice, and it's actually becoming less and less comfortable. It's not even working. So yeah, right now the most important thing you can do is let your voice be known. Like, that freedom of speech, your democracy, that is everything that you have in the world, you know, and each other.
Let me address Josh saying America is a constitutional republic, not a democracy. Yes, of course it is a constitutional republic. There is a difference. Pure democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. A constitutional republic kind of puts more seats at the table where the local communities can participate. But yes, that's a fair point. I appreciate that. But let me wrap it up on this. What you just said about building and doing it together, it reminds me of this lyric here. This is from the title track to Make Yourself. It's on the Make Yourself album by Incubus. It says, if I hadn't made me, I would have been made somehow. If I hadn't assembled myself, I'd have fallen apart by now. If I hadn't made me, I'd be more inclined to bow. Powers that be would have swallowed me up, but that's more than I can allow. If you let them make you, they'll make you paper mache. At a distance, you're strong until the wind comes, then you crumble and blow away. If you let them blank you, there will be no foreplay. Rest assured, they'll blank you complete till your blank is blue and gray. You have a kid in the room. I'm cleaning this up. You should really make amends with you, if only for better health. But if you really want to live, why not try and make yourself? So yeah, when I make me, I won't be paper mache. And if I blank me, I'll blank me in my own way. Yeah, if I hadn't made me, I'd have fallen apart by now. I won't let them make me. It's more than I can allow. So, you know, that's a great track. Everybody needs to go check that one out. Are you familiar with Incubus and the Make Yourself album, sir?
Yeah, a little bit. Not, I know Incubus, but they're not so much, haven't really listened to a bunch, but
yes, I would recommend
I'll
you,
have to go tune in,
Yeah, find the Make Yourself album. The entire album front to back is incredible. Find it on YouTube and just
I just want to clarify too, obviously Josh, totally right. I'm trying to be less specific about like defining what America is and what the force of democracy implies, not even as like a political party, but like from the Greek idea of democracy, that people should have a voice and a say in decisions that governments make, just in spirit, less than fact of how it's being done now. That's what I'm trying to say. The spirit.
Oh yeah, it's a distinction that that we often have to make, the democracy and the republic. But yeah, it's a seat at the table and it's a voice, and it is often overused, and often saying constitutional republic is more apt, because the people that push pure democracy usually have or at least often have bad intentions. So yeah,
he's showing off some of his art for you guys here. Yeah,
Oh, is he gonna be a tattoo artist as well? Is he gonna?
Yeah, I hope so. I'm in one of the few trades that you can directly pass on from generationally now. So if I want him to be happy and do what he loves, and if he enjoys it, then that'll be awesome.
Heck yeah. All right, give us the pitch one last time, where people can donate and how you would like those donations, and just tell us what you're planning on doing next, and how people, if we don't have an app and we don't have a website to foster a family or whatever, but if our viewers could team up and help you, so that you can then, once again, it's the chain reaction, domino after domino. Tell us one more time what you're looking for assistance, and the easiest way that people can help.
Yeah, email me if you can send out my Cash App. I don't know if you still got that there. It's Fabled Remedies 1. As far as like money, I'm trying to put the extra money I've had together with your donations, and I'm going to start trying to focus on like more big ticket items. Like I said, generators, chainsaws, tools, stuff to rebuild, and stuff to keep people warm and sustainable through winter. And I know, like I said, we're going to keep doing like a weekly donation trip. I'm going to keep raising money as I can. I'm going to keep bitching and complaining until people start doing more. And also I know, excuse my language, this is a tattoo shop. I cuss a lot.
I'm a mountain man and a tattoo shop. What do you expect?
It's been an emotional week, man. It's been hard. Everybody's trying to keep it together. 2 weeks now. It's turned into a month. So, we're doing with one of my friends. She lives outside of Asheville. She's been working super hard every single day, running supplies between donation centers, taking them to people's houses, taking them to nursing homes that don't have any. I mean, there's whole nursing homes, man, that don't have generators, that need generators so they can, just keep these people going, like little small town nursing home, no electricity or water for 2 weeks, but anyways, she is putting together a trunk or treat for kids in Asheville coming up. I forgot the date exactly, but I know we are setting up with my wife and some of her therapist friends to try to start giving out packets of resources for people that need therapy or need help financially. It's a good opportunity if people are interested in sponsoring people, that I can make connections and get those people connected directly so they don't have to go through me. But that's our big next thing. We're just going to keep doing donations. We're going to keep doing volunteer work, and then we're going to go try to set up and hopefully do something fun for these kids that have just had nothing but weeks of depression and anxiety and trauma. And hopefully everybody can have like a little fun Halloween event, and also, we can get people connected and get some resources to people that need them, whether it's through mental health or physically or financially. So that's kind of what we're working with.
Gotcha. Yeah, Kenneth calling it a train attack. Oh no. And you're doing some trick or treat stuff. Yes, the affinity for the vehicles. I remember what was it? We dropped off it was a Batman car, right? Like a Batman mobile, like a Matchbox. So I definitely contributed.
He's all about trains. He's train crazy, and that's
All
something
about the
too. You know, our whole network for shipping and on trains down here is wrecked, man. They're gonna have to rebuild the whole train track and the whole system for that. So I don't know, man. We're gonna do it though. There's no giving up. I have full confidence in my people. I just you can't. There's a what's the song? It's like I don't
Now
ask
I
nobody
got
for
you
nothing
trying to
if I
quote
can't do it
songs.
on my own. I don't ask nobody for nothing. It's country people don't like asking for help, so I'm asking for help for them. Like country people do not like asking, but right now they really need it, man. They really do.
Yeah. By the way, as we wrap up, Josh is saying, also, I hope I didn't sound like a jerk. I didn't mean to come across that way about the constitutional republic thing. No. It's all good. It's all good. Like, we totally get that. And like, I love the interaction with the live comments and stuff. But of course, then these get posted and reshared and all of that, so they can live on forever. What up, brother? What up, dude? Okay, so there it is. We want people to go to the Cash App, Fabled Remedies, the number 1. Fabled Remedies, plural, the number 1. There you go. Excellent. And if you want to reach out to Grizzly, he's Grizzly, Grizzly. It's a word that I have misspelled a shocking number of times in the past couple of weeks. Is there an E? L-E-Y? G-R-I-Z? Double Z? Not double L. Not double Y. What am I even? Why is it coming up spell check? I've spelled Grizzly incorrectly several times. So it's Grizzly, tattoo inked at gmail.com. Grizzly, Tattoo is another word that people spell incorrectly, like Cincinnati. Is it double N, double T, double N, N, T? Does it double I? No, not double I. This is like what goes on in my head as I'm typing things that don't come out right the first time. But yeah, check out.
I mean, I got a classic small town country education, so I'm all art, and thank God for spell check as a tattoo artist, because I definitely like having a backup before I put something on somebody's skin. I'm just, so.
You don't want to end up on the blooper reel of the internet for someone that misspelled a tattoo. Yeah, those are
and also
atrocious.
Everybody is remotely local. If you want to support people while also doing something awesome for yourself, come get a tattoo, and I will take some of that money and I will give it to people that need it, and you'll get a tattoo and you'll help me pay my bills. So let's do it.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just add, I kind of hinted at it before, but I'll just go ahead and say Grizzly Tattoo. It's called Grizzly Tattoo.
In Gate City, Virginia.
Gate City, Virginia. If you want to go ahead and go on Amazon and send some generators or some all of those necessary camping and warmth items that you can think of, just click on Amazon and go look up the address and send it to Grizzly Tattoo. Why not? But yeah, any way you can help out. He's kind of on the scene doing this. And once again, yeah, the mutual friend that we have is somebody that I had mentored in the online activist consulting firm for years. And, he's big in the volunteer community. Tony Guerin is. And yeah, I mean, this really is the truest form of charity and goodwill missions and the first responders of help and hope. It's just the people that know these areas. Someone from the feds comes, they don't know. They're not from here. They don't know here. They can try to care. And I'm sure many to most of them are probably excellent, fantastic people, perhaps. But it's not the same. It's not the same as people that have a shared culture, a shared history, and shared experiences. And my family used to live here. Like that's how it works. So grassroots, help Grizzly, Cash App, Fabled Remedies, the number 1, Grizzly Tattoo Inked at gmail.com if you want to reach out. Grizzly, appreciate you, sir. Yeah, we'll get you back on.
Hey, man, thank you. It's been a pleasure spending time with you and becoming friends. I hate all this happened, but I'm glad I got to meet the people I have. So
that's a good way to frame that. I agree. Best wishes to you. We'll stay in touch, obviously, and as soon as Blake finishes that video, when it drops, we'll let you know, and you can share it around, and just kind of it gives a different perspective to everything. You got to watch the early version. I'm not sure how many edits we're going to make. I made several suggestions, but yeah.
So far, I thought it was excellent, man. Like I said, I think you guys all of your shows are very professional. They've been beneficial to the cause, and I think you're doing great work. And I'm glad I could be a part of it. And I'll keep coming back. If you need any some long haired guy to say stupid stuff in the future once everything calms down, I got you. You know.
I think Kenneth right here on the screen. He tried to give you a nickname, Grizzly. Yeah. Well,
Hey, there you go. I'll take it.
The Snoop Dogg nickname from Kenneth. All right. Well, to you and your family, great meeting you guys as well, and keep up the good work. We will stay in touch. To be continued. Deep breaths, get out in the sun, vitamin D, feet on the ground, and once again, oxygen mask on you and your family and your business so that you can help all the people on the plane. So like, don't feel bad about having to recommit to that. I know when you're caught up in something, it's easy to get pulled in 100 directions, but it's like, you know, your own mask goes on first, then you're able to help moving forward. And that's the lesson we're all trying to do. If anyone out there is able to help, please do so. Grizzly, appreciate you again, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, man. I'll see you next time.
All right, take care. All right, everybody. There goes Grizzly. Yeah, I'm excited to show you the video that we put together. So it'll be coming soon. Blake was just fantastic by doing the editing. It is really not an area where I excel. I can edit. I just I don't prefer to. So special thanks to Blake Walley. That should be coming real soon. All right. I want to go through the news, everybody. We'll kind of hit pause. We're going to just kind of pivot. And we are going to get into the news of the day. How about it? All right, everybody. Thank you for being here on the Agree to Disagree show, the New American Media. Hit subscribe, hit like, do all those things, hit all the buttons, try to engage with the content, leave some comments. We definitely appreciate that. I want to do this. I want to go through some stuff I saw in the news and just good stuff from the internet. Good stuff from the internet. So here's Charlie Kirk. Let me make sure I got the volume. Volume should be good. Where is the screen? Here we go. Okay. Volume up. Here we go. Charlie Kirk, student on campus.
It's pretty clear that you will be voting for Trump next month. But I'm curious if you've read this book to see if it will maybe sway your opinions a little bit.
Oh, is the achievement, is it empty? No. Oh, I love this. This is the achievements of Kamala Harris.
Those books are so great.
You can try to fill it out too, but there's not much.
No, those white dudes for Harris need to start filling this out. Look at how much she did on immigration, everybody. Isn't that great?
That white dudes for Harris. Maybe in my stack here as I scroll through X. Make sure you're following the New American Media on X. We're at American_media_.
God bless you. Thank you.
That's awesome. I love that book. There's so many versions of that. Do I want to go through all these stories? If you're not following the Vigilant Fox, I think you should. They put out good stuff. 10 shocking stories the media buried today. Number 10, cancer researcher has dropped an ivermectin bombshell because the first peer-reviewed protocol using ivermectin and fenbendazole for cancer treatment has finally been peer-reviewed and published. It's huge. Dr. Makis says he's already seeing incredible successes with these repurposed drugs. The quick summary of the study's findings: ivermectin targets cancer cells by disrupting their mitochondrial function, leading to cell death, apoptosis. You see this word here? It's a strange word. Apoptosis. Anyway, it also blocks key energy pathways, showing significant tumor shrinkage, especially in pancreatic cancer. Doggone it. I got a buddy that passed away from pancreatic cancer. Came on fast. Miss you, Tony. Ah, man. And Lord help us if it turns out that cures have been withheld from us intentionally. Oh, Lord have mercy on the people that did that, if that was done, because I sure won't. Oh, just had to go to a funeral of somebody that could have really used some cancer treatment that worked. It's so gross. The accusation that some of these drugs have been known to be super helpful, but then they're getting blocked because Orange Man discussed them, which is disgusting. Anyway, fenbendazole and mebendazole, both anti-parasitic drugs, have been found to halt cancer cell growth, interfere with glucose metabolism, and trigger apoptosis. In some preclinical trials, these drugs have even outperformed standard chemotherapy in reducing tumor growth. Remarkably, 3 patients with stage 4 genitourinary cancers. I don't know what genitourinary cancers are. Stage 4 genitourinary cancers. Genital? Urinary? I don't know. All these words. Anyway, remarkably, 3 patients with stage 4 genitourinary cancers were treated with high-dose fenbendazole, 1,000 milligrams 3 times a week for several months, and experienced complete remission. This is remarkable and especially hopeful for patients who have tried everything else with no luck. The next step will be further clinical trials to validate the protocol's effectiveness among larger populations. All right, how about that? Warnings about the gene therapy injections. I don't think we're even allowed to talk about that. So go here and look at it. Here's an attempt to humiliate Speaker Johnson. And it doesn't.
Kamala Harris's numbers are dropping in the polls, and she just said in her own words, you saw the tape there, there is no difference between her and Joe Biden. The Biden policies, Bidenomics, all the things they champion are destroying the country, and everybody knows that, and that's why Donald Trump should be elected. Republicans are going to win the Senate and the House.
Mr. Speaker, we should note that FEMA funds were actually redirected on Donald Trump's watch to deal with the migrant issue. Let me ask you, you mentioned the medical records.
No, ma'am. No, wait a minute. No, that's hold on, wait a minute. Wait, facts are important. That is a new program that started in 2020 under Joe Biden. That funding wasn't necessary under Trump's administration.
By the way, did you catch that? Did you catch that gem? That's the same thing that they tried to pull with J.D. Vance. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to correct you on that because you're wrong. Anyway, let's move on. I'm sorry, we have a lot to get to. I'm sorry, we have a lot of topics to get to. Remember when they did that on the debate? Remember when they did that during the vice presidential debate? Man, I feel like I'm talking really fast just because I got one sip of coffee. There was a coffee spilling issue, so now I'm keeping my coffee very far away from the desk. I need like a sippy cup. I can't keep reaching out of screen when I do that. But did you just listen to how she tried to lie about that? This is why we hate the media, and this is why legacy media, not the new American media. This is why we hate legacy media. What are we on? We're on NBC. That's a deep state propaganda bullshit outlet. They used to be air quote respected as journalists. They are a laughing stock because of stunts like this.
Let me ask you, you mentioned the medical records.
No, ma'am. Wait a minute. No, Republicans are going to win the Senate and the House.
Mr. Speaker, we should note that FEMA funds were actually redirected on Donald Trump's watch to deal with the migrant issue. Let me ask you, you mentioned the medical records.
No, ma'am. Wait a minute. No, hold on, wait a minute. Wait, facts are important. That is a new.
Good job, Speaker Johnson, steamrolling her attempt to spin this.
Win the Senate.
This is a master class because they're going to try to talk over you. They're going to try to redirect, change the subject. You cannot let them get away with these lies.
In the House.
Mr. Speaker, we should note that FEMA funds were actually redirected on Donald Trump's watch to deal with the migrant issue. Let me ask you, you mentioned the medical records.
No, ma'am. Wait a minute. No, hold on, wait a minute. Wait, facts are important. That is a new.
4 times he had to bulldoze through her efforts That's what you do. You bulldoze. Whoa. What the heck happened? Wait, what the heck happened here? Hold on. There we are.
That is a new program that started in 2020 under Joe Biden. That funding wasn't necessary under Trump's administration because we secured the border. We didn't invite illegal aliens and dangerous people into the country. That's a Biden-Harris policy, and everybody knows it.
Mr. Speaker, it did happen under Donald Trump's watch, but let me just ask you about medical records since you raised them.
No, Kristen,
should Donald Trump release all of his medical records?
New account.
Should Donald Trump release all of his medical records?
He has.
Speaker?
He issued the records of his physicians. Kamala Harris issued her medical records as a diversion because she's desperate because she's sinking in the polls.
Could you imagine trying to support Kamala Harris right now? I know you're not. The viewers of this show are not going to be. We have very smart viewers. I couldn't imagine that we have a lot of people in the audience that are backing Kamala Harris. But could you imagine, was it white dudes for the cringe factor necessary? Trying to defend indefensible people, indefensible positions. The Democrats are going to be held to account for what they did during COVID. This is going to be an absolute landslide. And she is crashing in the polls. Tell me what changed. Here, let me go side by side. Tell me what changed. Did anything change? I'm riding the wave of excitement with Kamala. No, we're not. Trump signed up RFK Jr. the next day after her speech in Chicago. Took all of the energy away. These are just pollsters. They have Trump up everywhere. And within that margin of error, and there's obviously the shy Trump voter that doesn't want to wear the red hat or put the sign out in the front yard or answer a poll so that they can be targeted by the bad guys. Because really, the bad people, the Democrats, the deep state assets. You know, who wants to invite extra hassle into their lives? Well, newsflash, it's time to pick a side. The reason things have gotten this out of control is because you, dear viewer, have been too scared to speak your mind, too scared to open up a conversation with a neighbor, a friend, a coworker, a family member, and just say, hey, I've decided I'm voting for the MAGA unity movement. I like what RFK Jr. can do if he was in charge of the deep state. You know, the guy who the CIA and the other assets allegedly assassinated my dad and my uncle. Yeah, I'd love to clean that place out, gut it from top to bottom. I'd also love to be in charge of the all these lettered agencies. FDA, CDC, NIH. Yeah, I would love Bobby Kennedy to be in charge of fixing our food and water supply and fixing the medical industrial complex that tried to force you out of your job if you didn't take what they deemed a necessary medical procedure. Screw that. This has to be a referendum on the deep state Democrats that have done this. So anyway, this is just a masterclass on how you plow through and stay on message here from Speaker Johnson, who I'm not super impressed with, but look, you call a win when you find a win. This is a win.
Donald Trump's health is on display. Everyone in America can see it. The man works nonstop. He never quits.
The energy we've seen from Trump, it's incredible. You don't have to like him to say, man, this guy, he gets shot in the head and he keeps going. Bravo. Biden can't be bothered. Sleep at the beach for a couple weeks after he let Kamala stage a coup to throw him out of office. We're essentially a country without effective governance right now. It's nuts.
probably sleeps 4 hours a night. He doesn't require as much sleep as the average person. He's an unusual figure. And this is the strength that we need in a time like this. We're in the most dangerous moment since World War II. You have to have strength. You have to have a steady hand. You have to have a commander-in-chief that our allies respect and our enemies fear. They do not fear Kamala Harris. They do fear Donald Trump.
Mr. Speaker,
that's what people are going to vote on.
Just to be very clear, he hasn't released all of his medical records. He released 2 letters. Should he release the results of the cognitive test?
He's on display every minute.
So it's unnecessary. You concede that he didn't release his.
This lady is awful. She's the best at the you concede. Yeah. Trump's out there every night. Another city. Talking for 2 hours off the cuff. Yeah. I think he's fine. And by the way, hold on. I don't want to praise Mike Johnson too much because he's missing the slam dunk. Where's the slam dunk? Excuse me, lady in green, looking like you just won the Masters. They get green jackets. Are you really going to start trying to get us to talk about releasing health information? You want us to avoid the inflation, the proxy wars that the U.S. is involved with in multiple locations at a time where we're adding $1 trillion in debt, allegedly. It's not our debt. We didn't take it out. Let the ones that took it out pay it back. It's not on us. Adding $1 trillion in debt every 3 months. Southern border wide open, nobody being vetted. You want us to talk about health records? When you hid the cognitive decline of Joe Biden for 4 years while you propped him up like he was Weekend at Bernie's, excuse me, you can take this line of questioning, redirect it elsewhere, look in the mirror, and we're going to talk about the important issues. That's the slam dunk here. He has 45 seconds left. Maybe he does. Let's see.
His medical records, you don't want to know things like his cholesterol level, whether he's dealing with any issue that we may not know about, if he's going to be commander-in-chief. And he also said he would release cognitive tests.
Listen to your question.
Should he release that?
The American people, Kristen, the American people don't care about the cholesterol level of Donald Trump. They care about the cost of living and the fact they cannot pay for groceries because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's policies have put them in that situation. The medical records are irrelevant. Let's talk about things that the American people care about. That's why Donald Trump is surging in the polls, because he's doing that on stages, in interviews, nonstop around the clock, and Kamala Harris has done nothing. Every time she talks, her numbers go down because she is uniquely unqualified to be the commander-in-chief at one of the most dangerous times in the history of the country. That's a fact.
Uniquely unqualified. I like that last there. Uniquely unqualified during one of the most dangerous times in America.
Because she is uniquely unqualified to be the commander-in-chief at one of the most dangerous times in the history of the country. That's a fact.
That is an excellent closing phrase. All right. Let's see what else is here. Oh, geez. Liberals are calling on Biden to commit unconstitutional acts in his final days. Yeah, Biden's not pulling the strings here. Yeah, here's a story. This man, Vem. What is Vem short for? Venmo? Vermicular? Anyway, Vem Miller arrested outside a Trump Coachella rally. Yeah, Trump at Coachella. What's he in Coachella for? Isn't California unwinnable? I don't know. I'm curious as to the strategy. He's going to New York. He's going to Madison Square Garden. This is poised to be the biggest shellacking in American presidential history. And by the way, there is no universe where we're going to look at a delayed result or a fabricated result that shows Kamala Harris is now the most popular person in American political history. We're not buying it. Don't even try it. Stand down. Anyway, this guy, Vem Miller, he's at Trump's Coachella rally, and a local sheriff insists that it was a third assassination attempt, despite letting the perp walk with a meager $5,000 bail. Yeah, I know somebody who's knows the guy or encountered him, and he's a known Trump supporter for a long time. photographed him with something and just said, this guy's a Trump guy. Like, he wasn't coming to harm the guy. So that story is something we're still trying to unpack. Here's Bill Clinton. Man, oh man, he looks like a Raggedy Ann doll. Ooh. Oh, those Epstein trips did not suit you well, sir. Goodness. Looking more like Jimmy Carter than... Oh, goodness. He looks awful. Or exactly as you would expect him to look. All right, so here's the question. We're going to play this and ask, how much is Bill Clinton helping Kamala Harris?
You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant.
Yeah, that was Laken Riley. This is Bill Clinton wearing a Harris Walls hat, talking about Laken Riley.
By an immigrant? Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted, and that doesn't happen...
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
You gotta...
I mean, wow. There you go. Now, this was maybe one of the biggest videos of the past couple of days. It bears repeating. It bears watching. J.D. Vance, bravo. I was cautiously optimistic about supporting Trump in 2016. He was an unknown quantity. By the time it was done, I'm like, all right, yeah, I appreciate this. I like that during a pandemic, you're out here doing 2-hour press conferences every day. Like, you're working. Despite every goofy legacy media attempt to smear those efforts. It was easy to support him in 2020. Now, I knew it was time for Mike Pence to go. But that being said, I didn't know if J.D. Vance was the right decision. I just wasn't very familiar with him. My father had met him, and he was a fan. You know, that's a starting point. That's a jumping off point. I don't take anybody's word for anything, but like when I go into the restaurants, I'll say, what's the best thing here? What do people eat the most? They know. Just ask them. Just get that. Just ask them. Get that. But J.D. Vance with a Republican debate and now this, I think, number one, you just sort of have to trust Trump at this point. He walked into a situation he was completely unfamiliar with when he was elected in 2016. He had never worked in governance. He's learned a lot. And he's the one that picked J.D. Vance. Well, it's sink or swim with J.D. The call's yours. And my goodness, I'm going to briefly discuss some of the Tim Walz accusations. I won't go too in depth because we're still trying to unpack what's going on here. Is this the October surprise? But my God, the choices that were made, the first choice as the candidate is to select your running mate. And oh my goodness, did Kamala Harris fail and did Trump succeed? I would say so. This is J.D. Vance with Martha Raddatz. Wow.
Understand what you're saying, that some people left behind, but he's making these statements that the mayor is flat out disputing.
By the way, to set this up, she, in her sad face, oh, her concerned, sad face, oh, she wants it to be known that President Trump is saying things about Aurora, Colorado that are just, oh.
Understand what you're saying, that some people left behind, but he's making these statements that the mayor is flat out disputing.
And this just reminds me of like the Haitians and the cats in Springfield, Ohio. Yeah. Wildlife and pets are going missing, and it's been reported for a long time. Multiple places, multiple videos, multiple pictures. Some of those might not have turned out to be, but there are 911 tapes. There are calls that were made. It is a real story that was a real thing, but they have to try to dispute that. It's not so bad in Springfield. It's not so bad. Imagine being a Cleveland Indians fan. They call them the Guardians now. And all of a sudden, you just, on a whim, it's for political gain, of course, you import to a town of 60,000 people, 30,000 New York Yankee fans. No shared culture, no shared experiences, no familial connections. You just got people in your place that aren't rooting for your team. They're on some other team. They're on Team Haiti. They're on Team New York Yankees. They're not on the Cleveland baseball team. The Tribe, as I like to call them. I don't like saying the G word because cancel culture came and got them. Thank you, Tom Hanks, making that video. Tom Hanks, you're a name that keeps popping up. We'll see. But their efforts to just minimize the damage and carnage being caused by this illegal alien invasion, it defies logic that somebody could keep pushing this agenda. Nobody's buying it. I've been to Chicago and they couldn't stand it. I've been to the Bronx and they couldn't stand it. You're talking to people and they can't stand that their communities are being overrun and funded. Guess what? Through FEMA. The FEMA funds that are supposed to be helping American citizens. Karine Jean-Pierre, side by side, talking about, bragging about, oh, we're redistributing funds from FEMA. Resettlement. Resettlement? How about resettle your resume? Because you're freaking fired. Prioritizing non-Americans over Americans? Hell no. Hell no. So, she's so concerned about misinformation or disinformation in Aurora, Colorado. It's not a big deal. Why would Trump say such things? Clutching my pearls. How dare he talk bad about Aurora?
Well, Martha, you just said the mayor said they were exaggerated.
Grossly exaggerated.
There's got to be some. That means there's got to be some element of truth here. And of course, President Trump was actually in Aurora, Colorado, talking to people on the ground. And what we're hearing, of course, Martha, is that people are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Senator Vance, I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you.
There you go. There's the call to authority. I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened. Sure you do, Martha Raddatz.
Senator Vance, I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you. The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes.
By the way, I love. I love that she had the Freudian slip. Instead of apartment complexes, she said apartment conflicts. Ooh, I love that so much.
You know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you.
know exactly.
The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions...
Treason, criminal treason, dereliction of duty. I've never... as plain as the nose on my face. The enemy inside the gate. I mean, this is self-sabotage. This is criminal, what Kamala Harris has done, what the Democrats have done. This is why I'm predicting an absolute blowout for MAGA.
most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
Okay, let's just end that with they did not invade or take over the city, as Donald Trump said. I want to move on to
these people are so terrible. This is two of these idiot reporters, hosts, whatever they are. Let me just end with the final word. I'm going to try to totally misconstrue and sum up something that isn't true in my last sentence. Now, we have a lot to get to. We have a lot of other topics to get to.
That he did.
Okay, let's just end that with they did not invade or take over the city, as Donald Trump said. I want to move on to
just a few apartment complexes, no big deal.
A few apartment complexes that the mayor did not seem was invading the entire city. Let's move on to women and abortion.
And for the love of God, can we talk about killing our babies? It's the only thing that Democrats have to offer. Ugh, good grief. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. This is the demographic problem. Everybody hates Harris. But really, this is Obama pulling the puppet strings here.
And sometimes there's a trend line that I never noticed before and make me go, whoa. This is one of them, all right?
I'm sorry, how did he pronounce whoa? Whoa?
And make me go, whoa. This is one of them, all right? This is the Democratic margin among black men under the...
Because I'm not sure if this video clip is going to show it or not, but you got Barack Hussein Obama out there. You got Sonny Hostin on The View, really pushing to get more black people, kind of degrading black people if they don't vote Democrat. Screw these Democrats. No self-respecting man would vote Democrat. None. Zero. What they did to abuse us during their COVID times, unforgivable. You're all fired. Every one of you, gone. To leave our door open to millions of people with potentially nefarious intentions. Oh my God. I'm sorry, as this guy said, whoa. Whoa. I feel like Joey on Blossom. Whoa. If Joey said, whoa. Yeah, take a look at how popular Harris is not.
The age of 45 in presidential elections. You go back to November of 2012, what do you see? You see Obama by 81. Clinton only won him by 63.
This is the Democrats' margin. Black men.
Then we're
18 to 44.
all the way down to Biden last time around by 53.
By the way, this is the Trump effect. Trump is funding HBCUs. Trump is working on criminal justice reform. Trump wants a system where if you make smart decisions, you can have a good life in this country. That's not a black man thing. That's a man thing. A real man would see the difference between what the Democrats keep peddling, division, hatred, bullshit, lies, obfuscations, slant, manipulation, graft, theft, treason. Nobody in their right mind wants Democrats in charge. Now they're up 41 points. It's about half of where Obama was just 14 years ago.
A tremendous drop already. And then you take a look at the average of the most recent polls, and Kamala Harris is up by only 41 points.
Now, by the way, let's just set Biden's air quote victory in 2020 aside for a second. Harris and Biden are incredibly unpopular. In fact, during the 2020 primaries, the only person less popular than Joe Biden was, wait for it, Kamala Harris. And do we even have to talk about how unlikable Hillary Clinton is? And it's not just unlikable. Wait till you find out about her. It's all coming out. As Cat Williams, it's all coming out in 2024.
That is about half the margin that Obama.
All you deviants.
Half the margin that Obama won them by back in November of 2012. And this, I think, is, you know, when Barack Obama goes in last week when he was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, essentially talking to young black men, he made it seem like it was a Kamala Harris specific problem. This is part of a long-standing trend of young black men moving away from the Democratic Party, and Kamala Harris is just the latest to face that magnitude of younger black men going towards the Republicans.
That was most interesting here is the trend line and where some of the biggest drops happened or already happened in this case. How about black men overall?
How about black men overall? It's part of the same picture. You know?
Yeah. I actually reached out to a neighbor, an older black man that lived in my neighborhood. He was my neighbor for 15 years. We had a lot of chats, he and I. And, yeah, there was definitely some stuff going on. He was not a Hillary fan. It's hard to separate voting blocks out. Because nobody votes unilaterally. Like, that's not a thing. But the same people that were not excited for Miss Hillary Clinton are not going to be excited for Miss Kamala Harris. In certain communities, I don't think they really want a lady to be in charge. That's an entirely separate component of this demographic here that they're showing on screen. When you factor in achievements, capabilities, resume, and intangibles, there's like this extra thing at play. But yeah, I mean, look at the. Why would anyone still be voting Democrat? Any man, any woman, any human. Look at this lineup of losers. They're very accomplished. If you call destruction accomplishments, fine. But yeah, this is the Trump effect. Mitt Romney wasn't doing this. He wasn't going to be getting you those points. Mitt Romney was right there in 2012, 85 points. John McCain, I don't know where it was before that, why we're only looking at 4 elections, but. Oh, the Democrat Party needs to be completely dismantled, demolished, recycled, cast into the dustbin of history with all the other terrible ideas.
You know, we're looking once again at younger black men. It looks like the worst Democratic performance since 1960, since JFK versus Richard Nixon. It's the same thing among black men overall. Again, part of a similar trend, but here actually the drop-off isn't as dramatic, right? Barack Obama won him by 85. Then you see 71 with Clinton, 69. Biden, basically the same thing, holding steady. But here, again, very, very weak. Only a 54-point margin. Now, again, still winning them by a large margin, but considerably lower than what we're used to. Certainly considerably lower what we had during the Obama years. The bottom line is Kamala Harris with younger black men and then black men overall putting in historically weak performance for a Democratic candidate.
Is she getting any relief with black women?
All right. So, you know, we're talking about the trend line, right? And black women, look, she's doing better with black women than she is doing among black men. But here, there isn't a trend line almost until we get to Kamala Harris. So, again, this is
93 down to 85. Bam, down 14. Oh, is she unlikable, untrustworthy, unkamalified? She is uniquely unkamalified for office.
Black margin among black women. Look, Obama won him by 93, very large margin. Clinton won him by 93.
Black women are voting Democrat at 93%. Ladies, please snap out of it. They don't help you at all.
Be a very large margin. Biden did a little bit worse at 85, but then you look here and you get a 71-point margin. Now, again, these are large margins, but the bottom line is when you're talking about the base of the Democratic Party, you would think that Kamala Harris would do very well among black women based upon history, and of course she would be the first black woman president, but she's actually doing the worst for a Democratic candidate among black women since 1960, if this holds, John.
And again, when you look at the numbers here, whenever you come in, looking at the trends, is probably the most important thing.
You got it, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Whoa. He says, whoa. Okay. Now, let's get out of here. And we will continue telling you what people are talking about. This is interesting. Check this story out.
The right to do it, but that's
This town of Hanson Municipal Water Tower on High Street has become the talk of the town.
he has a right to do it, but at the same point, it's got to be respectful.
Paul Riley lives right near the tower. He says he became a little bothered once the town started using their resources Friday night to blur the Trump 2024 image.
You shouldn't tie up police and other resources for something like that.
We tried to talk to the man who has the projector on his property to display the image.
We just wanted to know if we could talk to you about the tower.
He shook his head inside the door, saying no. Hanson officials say displaying this image violates the town's bylaws and misleads the public to believe this activity is condoned. They do not allow any political endorsements on municipal property, but they do respect free speech rights of all residents. The town says a lot of taxpayer dollars may be spent, including attorney fees and paying workers overtime to turn this spotlight on and off each day. The town says the resident could be fined $100 per day if it continues.
Oh, what a weird story. Now I get it. I've worked in local government, HOA situations, and of course you have your community liaisons and you have things you can do, things you can't do. When you share space, that's property that doesn't belong to him. So I get it, but I mean, you're really gonna put resources out there to blur it out, to put a spotlight up there to what? I don't know. I kind of understand it, but it's interesting. What do you think about it? Should the town just let him put it up there? Flip it around. What if someone was putting Harris balls up there? You wouldn't want to see that, would you? So I don't know. Anyway, here's Trump talking to a Bloomberg guy.
What does the Wall Street Journal know? I'm meeting with them tomorrow. What does the Wall Street Journal know? They've been wrong about everything. So have you, by the way. You've been wrong about
You're trying to turn this. You're trying to turn this.
Look at Trump's body language. Arms crossed. He is not happy with this guy.
What does the Wall Street Journal know? I'm meeting with them tomorrow. What does the Wall Street Journal know? They've been wrong about everything. So have you, by the way. You've been wrong about
You're trying to turn this. You're trying to turn this.
You've been wrong about
No, you're trying to turn this into debate. There are business people. There are business
you're wrong.
people.
You've been wrong. You've been wrong all your life on this stuff. What is the Wall Street?
I want to get some more context on that, but Clandestine said Trump is a legend. He sits down with the Bloomberg hack, tells him to his face that he's fake news, and the crowd of business people are all cheering him on in agreement. This is exactly why the mainstream media didn't want Trump to have crowds at the debates. Oh, exactly. Oh my God. They're trying to paint a picture. Oh, look, it's a close nation and we're 51-49. Anything could happen in this election. No, we are not close. Sane people do not support Democrats. Sorry to be so blunt. The party did not used to be that way. In 2024, you cannot support the Democrats as a sane person. Anyway, that's why they didn't want crowds at the debates, because you would hear 85% of the crowd, they're in agreement with MAGA. It blows their narrative out of the water. Remember when they tried to frame Trump for an insurrection where not a single shot was fired except the one that shot an unarmed veteran mother in the neck? From a man of another race, by the way. Shouldn't that be a big story? Anyway. When Pelosi and Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, when they tried to frame Trump for insurrection, they were adding noises. They were adding sound into the January 6th videos to make it sound angrier and more violent and louder and scarier. Of course, the Democrats are all about audio manipulation. We've seen where Kamala takes a phone call in her earpiece, her earrings. We've seen that. Allegedly. Of course. That's why they didn't want crowds at the debates. This right here, just saying, this is the armed militia that the media is now referring to. Yeah, it's people on the ground trying to help.
This is kind of what we have to do now. The information we're getting is sometimes old, so when we arrive there, we've got very limited air assets. So what we're doing now is we're actually touching down. We're doing link ups with the locals.
Oh, and I can't. Oh, doggone it! Is it gonna flag this because of the music? Doggone it! Oh God, it's probably gonna flag this damn video. I can't even.
Thanks, guys.
Enough with the music, guys. I can't share this. Doggone it. That's probably going to get our video clipped. These copyright laws are so stupid. I'm not an independent radio station making money off of advertising, and that this is how legends are made. I'm broadcasting your, like, oh my goodness. Every time we put something up with a clip, music playing in the background, irrelevant music. They love dinging you. But the other side, they can, for, you know, what do they call it? Fair use. It's just fair use. Anyway. Well, let's see what this story is. John Jacobson Jr. lured a married couple, Thomas and Jackie Hawks, onto their yacht, held them at gunpoint, then tied them to the boat's anchor and dropped them into the ocean to drown. Oh my God. Jacobson says he committed this heinous crime to get the money for a sex change, and now, thanks to Kamala Harris, he's achieved his dream. Thanks to policies created while Kamala was the state's attorney general, Jacobson received both breast augmentation and bottom surgery at taxpayer expense while serving on death row. In 2019, Kamala bragged about creating the policies that let Jacobson do this. Anyway, I'll let her say her words, but it's impossible to parody Kamala's views. No matter what you might try to make up, the reality is worse. Oh my God. This is why everyone hates you, Kamala.
When I was Attorney General, I learned that the California Department of Corrections, which was a client of mine, I didn't get to choose my clients.
Right, a client of the Attorney General.
A client of the Attorney General.
Right.
Oh. Okay, so this is a okay. All right. Well, whatever.
The Office of Attorney General, that they were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California.
Wow.
So that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care.
Permanent disfiguring surgeries that impair your ability to ever orgasm again. And the maintenance is constant and really troublesome. I am trying to pick some words that are not going to gross you out here. You know, I'm very against this type of stuff with minors, with minors and children. I guess minors and children are the same thing, but when it's an adult, I care less. Although I would, you can be who you want to be and express yourself how you want to express yourself. You don't. That's like telling a lady she's not attractive without large breasts, or a guy that he's not attractive unless he's a certain height, or a lady, like having these physical standards. You can be beautiful how you are. Anyway, this subject, I don't want anyone to miss out on orgasms. Clip that however you want. Take that out of context. I want people to have orgasms. If there's a surgery that you're going to do that's going to prohibit you from doing that, to try to become something, you cannot become another sex. You can be who you are and then have any number of you don't change who you are. XY. If you have an XY in sports, you must compete with guys. Anything that permanently removes the ability for a human to experience an orgasm, one of the finest things a human could experience, I'm against that for that reason. And if somebody wants to do it, hey, is it my role anywhere to be in charge of telling you that you can't? I am not certain that I would support that. No, I don't think I could say that. Just like but should we be forced to pay for that? Hell no.
That they desired and need. And I believe.
Well, as long as a person on death row desires something, air quote, need. What was the price tag on this surgery?
It was not only, I know it was historic in California, but I believe actually it may have been one of the first, if not the first in the country, where I pushed for that policy in a Department of Corrections. When I was.
Wow, that's Kamala Harris, everybody. Vote. Yeah, not only do they get the surgery, they can move over to the women's prisons and endanger them. Wow. Anyway, this one is saying over 50,000 people have raised more than $6 million through the GoFundMe for the Butler, Pennsylvania victims. Wow. Okay, so there's that. Check this out. I hate the Baltimore Ravens because they stole my football team. But here's this guy, Ravens fan, Jack Callis. A guy who yesterday decided after his team won a football game to beat up random other teams' football fans for no reason. He's now lost his jobs, probably his girlfriend, his Second Amendment rights, and his freedom, all because he got drunk and decided, keyword decided, to assault random guys. He's looking at felony assault, among other charges, up to 8 years in federal prison. Don't be this guy. And yes, you should root against the Baltimore Ravens because of this. And because they stole the Cleveland Browns franchise in 1995.
Do we got a straggler? Do we got straggler? Do we got straggler? Do we got straggler? Do we got a straggler? Do we got a straggler?
What in the world?
I don't lose. Yeah! Let's go! Let's go! Let's fucking go! Do we got a
Gross. So don't be that guy. He got kicked out of 3 different Baltimore private schools. Notable moment was his expulsion from St. Paul's for putting his genitals on a kid with special needs. Oh, he's disgusting, but his father is absolutely... Okay, I don't know this guy, and I don't know if any of this is true. I'm just kind of reading in real time. But, yeah, gross. Root against the Baltimore Ravens. Here on our X feed at American_media_, coming up on 100,000 posts in our lifetime. Yeah, look, this is the Obama, Clinton, Biden, Harris in a nutshell. Let's push division. And while people are fighting with each other, we want to plunder and loot the country. Well, Elon, an African American, he has thoughts.
I think we want to look to the future rather than the past. In fact, if you look at history, if you study history broadly, everyone was a slave. Everyone. We are all descended from slaves. Yeah. Well, all of us. Yeah. It's just a question of when. Was it more recent or less recent? That's it. Right. But what future do we want? Is this something we want to make part of our constant dialogue forever, or do we want to say, like, let's just move on and treat everyone according to just who they are as an individual? I think we want to.
There you go. That's the path forward. Reject the Democrats. Yeah, this is cool. If you didn't see this was nope, can't have music, no music. But look at this. They're reusing these shuttles. They're catching them in these devices. I love innovation. It's awesome. Let's become a multi-planetary species, would we? Hey, look, there I am. I don't know about this hat. I mean, just like the shadow on my face. I might need a different... Oh, there we go. Now it's Inception. Now I'm watching myself watch myself. And I'm aware of what I look like. See, now I'm showing my hat. That's Inception style right there. Okay, this is great. J.D. Vance for the win. Greg Price says, J.D. Vance absolutely cooked Tampon Tim in his own backyard today. He visited the Minneapolis police station that was burnt to the ground during the George Floyd riots in 2020 with police officers who were there and ripped walls for abandoning it to the mob. Hold their feet to the fire. They lit America on fire in 2020, all to get rid of Orange Man Bad. Destroy the Democrat Party, vote them all out, put them on charge, put them on trial for treason. They abandoned their communities. They sided with the enemy. They gave comfort to the enemy. They destroyed their own communities. The Democrats deserve the shellacking that's coming to them.
First, I just want to say a little bit about what this building behind us represents. You can see it's all boarded up. This is, of course, the headquarters of the 3rd Precinct, which was burned down. Thanks to Tim Walz's completely failed leadership. And, you know, talking to these folks behind me, I mean, these are law enforcement officers. A lot of them were here, some of them for many days when this was allowed to happen. And remember, during those riots, these guys were given up for dead. Their police chief told them to stand down, hoping that it would save their lives. A couple of them just told me just now their fear that they would be killed by the violent mob that was attacking this precinct. And the important question is, what were their leaders, in particular, what was Governor Tim Walz doing to keep these officers safe and to bring order to the city of Minneapolis?
Great question. Wouldn't it be interesting if anybody would ask that on a national level to him directly? How about Harris? You going to ask her? How about you ask her about the Minnesota Freedom Fund, the MFF, Minneapolis Freedom Fund, Minnesota Freedom Fund, the one that raised money to get violent criminals who were attacking their own community bailed out. Wow. Oh, this is a retribution election. The Democrats reap it. Reap what you've sown. You are going to get shellacked. If the Republicans have done enough to maintain voter integrity, oh, you're going to get shellacked. Anyway, he's asking, what about Tampon Tim? What was he up to when these police officers were left for dead? When the violent mobs were encouraged to run roughshod over blue cities? By the way, if you're living in a blue city or a blue state, you might want to consider getting the hell out of there.
Safe and to bring order to the city of Minneapolis? The answer was absolutely nothing. They described being left for dead by the person who wants to be the vice president of the United States. And to all the folks who are watching this, I think the message is very simple. That do we want a kind of leader who stands with the law enforcement, who fights for them, who protects their lives as they go about keeping us safe? Or do we want someone who encourages rioters and looters to burn down this precinct, who leaves the officers for dead, and then a president who then bails out some of those same rioters and looters out of prison? I think we want the law and order president. We want somebody who stands with our law enforcement, and most importantly, who stands with the communities that depend on law enforcement, and that means we want Donald J. Trump as president.
Man, he's good. He is good. Good pick. By the way, for anyone on the fence with Trump, look, he dramatically, I like saying drastically and dramatically. He dramatically upgraded his vice presidential position. He's got Vivek Ramaswamy, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Elon Musk. They're all on Team Trump. Anyone on the fence with Trump, look, he's learned a lot and he's surrounding himself with a lot better people. A much better non-rhino, non-deep state group of cats. So that's something you should consider. Yeah, quote the Raven fan. Oh, he's free no more. There you go, fabled remedies. God's work, protect our orgasm. But I mean, that's such a obvious inconceivable. Kenneth loves when I say inconceivable. He inconceivable? She's unkamalified for office? Kicked him in the walls. Wah, wah. Yeah, quote the Raven fan. Vote for O, and that's not Barry. The O is our orgasm. You're allowed in 2024. You're allowed to be who you are and love who you want to love, and you're not supposed to face criticism and grief for that. So, who's feeling the pressure to try to undergo these radical transformations to a body? We need, this is not the way, people. Love who you are. You were created this way for a reason, and things work on you. Don't go fix it. Don't go breaking things that work. That's all I'm saying. Don't go breaking things that work. All right, rolling through here. The View host, I mentioned this earlier about Kamala. We've got to reach the struggling because black men have bailed on the Democrats. Most self-respecting men have bailed. Got to do some work with the ladies to get them to leave that party. But yeah, check this out. This View host. Listen to this tripe.
We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump.
Yeah, ridiculous and crazy if they voted for Trump. What a racist thing to say. Shame on that lady.
We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump.
So let me get this straight. If I vote for a party that can't define what a woman is, I'm no longer ridiculous or
yeah. How about that? Vote for the party that can't define a woman, then he's not ridiculous or crazy.
Crazy. If I vote for a party that wants boys in my daughter's sports and restrooms, I'm no longer ridiculous or crazy.
Can you make sense out of that one? You want girls to have their safe spaces. But you're crazy if you oppose that and ridiculous? Excuse me.
Ridiculous or crazy. If I vote for a party that thinks they can pander to me using kente cloths and hot sauce, I'm no longer crazy. If I vote for a party that has done nothing but destroy my community for the last 60 years and open the borders in order to replace my vote and destroy my community further, I'm no longer crazy. If I vote for the party that wanted to keep me from voting, wanted to keep Jim Crow, wanted to keep slavery, the party of the Klan, I'm no longer crazy. And I'm no longer crazy or ridiculous if I vote for the candidate who's been in the office as vice president for the last 3.5 years and admitted to having a large part in pushing the harmful policies that have hurt my country, who can't answer basic questions and is quite possibly the worst candidate in American history, says she's going to bring change while at the same time admitting there's nothing she'd change about the last 3.5 years. And
did you catch that last part? She's doing the hopity hope, changety change Obama thing. Hopity change, changety hope, 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 change, change, change. Hope, hope, hope. Change, change, change. And then she was asked, well, what would you do differently? I can't think of a single thing I would do differently than Joe Biden. So you're not going to change anything, but you're running as a change candidate? Are you out of your mind? Yes, she is. Cut to the chase. All the Democrats are. Okay, maybe not all. There's probably some well-intentioned people that think they're doing the right thing, but man, that party is so lost. Whew, so lost.
But at the same time admitting there's nothing she'd change about the last 3.5 years and made us the laughing stock of the world. And you think I'm the crazy one. I think it's crazy you think I should vote for a candidate based on skin color rather than how their policies will affect my life. It's pretty sick.
Amen. Voting for skin color, voting for genitals. Get out of here. None of that, please. Done with it. Done with it. Done with it. All right. Scott Adams says, I remember Democrats dumbsplaining to me that this was a valid case and not obviously a miscarriage of justice. How's it look now? What they're talking about, of course, here, explained by Charlie Kirk, Trump's civil fraud conviction, resulting in nearly a $500 million judgment, could get overturned by the New York Appellate Division. Here's nearly 2 minutes of a panel of 5 justices absolutely excoriating Letitia James's team of lawyers Watch this. And by the way, excoriating, not enough. Not enough. These are civil rights abuses. These are election interference abuses. And dare I say the T word again, treasonous actions by Letitia James and the lawfare campaign waged against resident Trump and President Trump. Oh, no, no. These shall not be only overturned. You shall lose your law license and your freedom, and maybe, after a treason conviction.
Underneath all these questions, the question of mission creep has 6312 morphed into something that it was not meant to do.
All the defendants repeatedly violated.
Ms. Vail, can you identify any previous case in which the Attorney General sued under Executive Law 6312 to upset a private business transaction that was between equally sophisticated partners?
And it was using...
I'm sorry, but what's being described sounds an awful lot like a potential commercial dispute between private actors.
I mean, you've got two really sophisticated parties in which no one lost any money. The case that you cite involved where there was damage to consumers, damage to the marketplace. You've got a scheme to get unsophisticated consumers to take out home.
And by the way, this is in response to just to reset your memory. It's hard to sort out and remember exactly what everybody from these blue states, once again, consider fleeing a blue state if you live there. They hate you. Trump took out a loan, and then they tried to say that the value of the loan, or he said the wrong number of what a property was valued at, or something. You can't even make sense of what their argument was. It didn't make sense in the beginning, through the trial, or now. These judges are out of their, like, they're having a hard time putting into words just how insane the Democrats' actions were here. Once again, here's another reason to vote them out. If you reward them for this type of activity, you're going to encourage more of this activity. You must ruin the careers of these people, take their law licenses, and lock them up or further after a treason conviction. Because this is to take out the president of the United States, who's setting a lot of important policies. Oh, that's treasonous. That's not just politicking. It's on the heels of him being removed when they fortified 2020. The long list of criminally complicit bad actors, you could line them up and stretch to the moon and back, I tells you. So I says to the guy, I tells you. But this situation with Trump and the bank, he took out a loan, he paid interest on the loan, he paid the loan, wasn't late a single time. No aggrieved parties. No aggrieved parties. There's nobody bringing this case except Letitia James, who ran. Her campaign was vote for me. I'm going to go after Trump. Guess what, sweetheart? Now it's your turn.
Consumers, damage to the marketplace.
Because what they do to him is what they're going to try to do to you. The deep state, they're not coming after me. They're coming after you. I just happen to be in the way.
You've got a scheme to get unsophisticated consumers to take out home loans. You got a collapse of Lehman Brothers. You don't have anything like that here.
And that's something you must address, because there has to be some limitation on what the Attorney General can do.
Yes.
In interfering in these private transactions, as Justice Friedman said, that where people don't claim harm. So what is the limiting principle? The immense penalty in this case is troubling. So how do you tether the amount that was assessed by Supreme Court to
$500 million for paying a loan back? These people must be punished. You must vote. You must call your friends and your family. I know you don't want to evangelize and you don't want to get into politics, but my God, man up, pick a side. Do not sit this one out. And dear Lord, do not vote Democrat.
to the harm that was caused here, where the parties left these transactions happy about how things went down?
Historical backdrop to this law. how do we draw a line, or at least put up some guardrails to know when the AG is operating well within her admittedly broad sphere of 6312, and when she is going into an area that wasn't intended for her jurisdiction?
Yeah. So let's see if this happens, if this is reversed. Let's see if it happens before the election. It would be very helpful. This is a 3-minute clip. I'll let Dr. Ron Paul go to our X feed at American_media_ and follow us, please. Hit like, hit subscribe on all the places. But Holden Culata says, puts this out with Ron Paul's clip. Ron Paul warns that the U.S. military was just authorized to kill Americans on U.S. soil. I think it's very, very dangerous. Daniel McAdams says it's not a law. It's a Department of Defense directive. So this is the administrative state where they take over. They don't pass laws. It's a DOD directive that was reissued September 27, 2024, governing the DOD intelligence activities, and now includes provisions authorizing lethal force in certain circumstances, and it supplants the 2016 version, which did not mention that. The DOD directive is 5240.01. That's 5240.01 for those who want to read it themselves. U.S. military now authorized to kill Americans on U.S. soil. So you got posse comitatus, you got lethal force, you got problems here. There you go. Phil Fox saying this DOD directive is inconsistent with the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. However, we can see why U.S. intelligence community wants this directive to enforce their Marxist policies over United States citizens. Anyway, check that out, because danger, danger, danger. Here's Kamala Harris. You want to fall for this crap?
And when we fight, we win. And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win.
One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government shouldn't be telling her what to do. One does not have to abandon their faith.
She's starting to look like the Joker? No, like the person in Indiana Jones with the face melting. She looks defeated. She looks sad. She looks held captive. She looks awful here. And I'm not saying this just to like kind of rag on her for, we're all human beings and none of us look perfect. I'm kind of reading body language here.
Or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do. But I call an opportunity economy, so that every American has an opportunity to own a home, to build wealth, and to start a business. So every American has the opportunity to own a home, to build wealth, to start a small business.
So that's her. She's the puppet at the end of the strings. Benny, this is horrifying. It's all fake. If you fall for this, you're an idiot. Look, I'm going to actually break rank here a little bit and she's given a stump speech. It's written out. It's on the teleprompter. It's probably in her damn ear. Okay. I don't know. No different than being a comedian who goes out and, maybe you riff around the edges. Maybe you do some crowd work and some improv and, maybe word association or Q&As or toss a word. And I'm going to do a 2 minutes on that topic. That stuff's all fun. But if you're a comic, you're going from city to city. You're delivering the best version of the jokes that you have. If you have a better way to say it, you're going to rewrite it. A musician travels town to town. They play their best songs. They play the songs people want to hear. So of course she's going to be repeating it. I don't know. It's this one doesn't bother me as much, but something to keep an eye on. Let me play this for you. I'll let Alex say a moment of this. I've been seeing a lot of reports about Tim Walz. Is the Tim Walz investigation the new October surprise, the sexual deviant like Hunter Biden revealed himself to be? I don't know. Let's see if 51 intelligence officials, air quote intelligence officials, air quote traitors, air quote deep state operatives, air quote propagandists, come out and say, oh, this Tim Walz, this has all the classic earmarks of checks notes, Russian disinformation. I don't know if it's true. Tim Walz is a weird human being, very flamboyant, very guilty bug eyes, very aw shucks. I'm a bit of a, what do you call himself? An nincompoop, a bonehead, something weird in the debates. Guy's off his rocker. Once again, compare JD Vance to Tim Walz. It's not even close. I did like, who was the comic that played Tim Walz on Saturday Night Live? Jim Gaffigan. He was the right choice for that role. Anyway, let's hear what Alex has to say about this. Once again, for those of you in Rio Linda, California, me playing somebody talking about something does not mean that I endorse the thing or am purporting the thing to be the thing. We're all independent media. We all have to be savvy consumers of information, and we have to do our own research. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said you have to do your own research. Yes, you do. Never believe blindly anything anyone tells you. But what does Alex have to say at least about this?
The cult, folks. You wonder why they're so evil. This is just one of their rites of passages to be in their disgusting, sick club. And you've got Tim Walz going on TV saying it's wrong to ban hardcore pro-pedophile propaganda from elementary and middle schools and high schools.
That's disqualifying.
You've got him abortion after birth at 9+ months. You've got Tim Walz pushing transgenderism to chop little boys' penises off and little girls' breasts off.
Yeah, completely. That's a non-starter. That's disqualifiable.
That's beyond just raping them, and that's all part of this corruption of the children system that they're pushing. So as far as I'm concerned, Tim Walz doesn't just have all the earmarks of it. This guy's a monster, and it's all starting to come out, and they're trying to keep his record secret. They are desperate to keep that information from the public.
We interrupt our program.
All right, so that was just the teaser. There's several accusations. 25 years ago, a gay student sought support, turned to Tim Walz. The drunk driving in 95, but it's it's not repopulating. This is like, do this now. That's weird. Oh, it just won't play. How weird is that? You don't see that happen very often. Anyway, there's a lot of claims. Go dig into them on Tim Walz. I would not be surprised in the least bit, but I don't think I have what would be determined to be proof, evidence yet. But man, it has all the classic earmarks of a creepo.
America, I have a message for you.
And by the way, before he gives you the message, the context is, here's somebody speaking on behalf of 16,000 Border Patrol officers. Who do they want to run this country? You think these people like Democrats opening the borders and not vetting people who come in?
If we allow Borders R. Harris to win this election, every city, every community in this great country is going to go to hell. The untold millions of people, unvetted, who she has allowed into this country that are committing murders, rapes, robberies, burglaries, and every other crime will continue to put our country in peril. Only one man can fix that. That is Donald J. Trump.
He's so nonchalant. He pats him on the back. He looks over. He's like, yeah, I know. Yep, I'm the guy.
He has all
that look right there where Trump, it's like this resigned kind of shrug. He just kind of, kind of the lips purse up a little bit. You just that's a look of like, well, somebody's got to do it.
He has always stood with the men and women who protect this border, who put their lives on the line for the country. A man who knows about putting his life on the line for what is right. This November, we have a choice to make. Continue the chaos. Allow the criminal cartels to control the border, to allow drugs and fentanyl across our country, or put an end to it once and for all.
That's the choice you got to make.
On behalf of the 16,000 men and women represented by the National Border Patrol Council, we strongly support and endorse Donald J. Trump for President of the United States.
There you go. You want to secure the border and figure out who you're letting in? Good Lord, are we living in an upside-down world or what? Of course you do. Elon Musk retweeting Insurrection Barbie. 2 follows you need to follow. It's not white versus black. It's not straight versus gay. It's not rich versus poor. It's not man versus woman. It's the state versus you. And if you don't believe that, then they're beating you. I'm hearing rumors that Rogan is going to have both Kamala and Trump on the show. I don't know if this is true or not, but it's about freaking time. It's about time.
It's weird because